You know, it's actually fantasy football season when everybody in my life remembers, oh yeah, this guy does fantasy football for a living, and my phone's blowing up saying, hey, I got my draft today. I have my draft tomorrow. Can you hook me up with rankings? Ladies and gentlemen, it's here. We are in the peak of fantasy football drafting season. And you know, we are going to continue to do what we've done every single day. Now for 121 days in a row, we are going to go ahead and we are going to fire up some 2023 fantasy football drafts. Now we are going to get into a $500 Bulldog draft. Don't know if this is going to be immediately later tonight on the live stream, but let's enter into this bad boy right now. There are 7 spots open in this draft. So if you want to draft in this $500 draft with us, you can find that link to Underdog. You know where to find me. Bulldog 2 tournament. It's a tournament I won last year on Underdog Fantasy, one of the many. Now going over to the practice draft we are going to be in while we wait for that main one to fill. This is the $25 Best Ball Mania on Underdog. This is the largest fantasy football tournament on the planet. I got 16th place in this one for $10,000 last year. But this year, first place is $3 million. Second place is $1 million. Some crazy regular season prizes as well. So let's go ahead. Let's get in this bad boy, ladies and gentlemen. And hopefully we're able to win this one instead of the Bulldog 2 like we did a year ago. And we're 1 like away from hitting 200 likes in this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you play fantasy football. And if you want to get in a draft with us on the live stream tonight, tomorrow, the next day, if you're new to Underdog, definitely wait until we're doing the $6 drafts. But nonetheless, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat in the description in the comment section. Promo code FLOCK's going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You are also going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And top of this, ladies and gentlemen, you can have some fun getting in drafts with us. Take advantage of the Josh Allen exclusive pick'em special, more than less than half a passing yard that I got y'all hooked up with. But that's only for people who signed up with promo code FLOCK on Underdog. But let's go ahead and let's get this going. Devil from the 5th. On the clock here at 1. I'm assuming we see Jefferson go. I actually really do like pick 5 overall. I mean, at pick 5, we are going to at least have an elite level wide receiver or a CMC making it to us. But Overcome coming out of the donation. Thank you, my friend, says, with only Brees as my running back 1, should I offer Madison and White for Stevenson and my buddy who's a heavy Bucs fan? Hell yes. Fantasy Pros trade analyzer claims I would end up losing that trade, but my running back stable is weak until Kamar's. I love Fantasy Pros. The guys there, super, super, super nice. I hope that one day flockfantasy.com is half as big as what Fantasy Pros has been able to accomplish. So by no means am I talking down on this. But please never look at a trade calculator like that and say, oh, well, they say I can't trade Rashad White and Alexander Madison for Ramondre. No. Go get Ramondre Stevenson. Go get the best player in the deal, my friend. Pair him up with Brees Hall. I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think that will be able to help you out in the long term. But thank you so much for being a long-time member of the vlog, my man. Always happy to see you out here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to take Cooper Kupp at pick 5. Obviously, with Kupp, very few players have the same level ceiling where he led the NFL in receptions, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns back just 2 years ago. And he was the wide receiver 1 from a points per game perspective as well. If you're looking at last season, the thing is he just got injured. Now, A.J. Brown, CeeDee Lamb off the board here at the 1-2 turn. What's very surprising is to see the fact that CeeDee Lamb continues to fall into round 2. I mean, I've been the idiot drafting CeeDee Lamb at pick 9 and 10 nonstop, and I'm honestly going to continue to make those decisions. But David coming out says, just finished my draft. First 10 rounds, Bijan, A.J. Brown. Oh, Josh Allen, Amari, DJ Moore, Sanders, Pittman, JSN, Khalil, Jamal Williams. What are your thoughts? Also, joined the flock late last season. Thanks for all the help. No, thank you so much, my man, for hanging out with us and supporting the channel. I love the team. I mean, starting Bijan, A.J. Brown is what allows you to take advantage of those values in the later rounds, as you clearly do. Love getting the elite level quarterback there in the 3rd. And I know it's a super boring thing to say, right? I mean, everybody feels like they have to go through and they have to plant their flag. They go, I'm a 0 RB guy, or I'm a robust RB guy. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take no running backs in the first 2 to 3 rounds, or I'm going to take only running backs in the first 2 to 3 rounds. In reality, it's way more nuanced than that. in reality, if you were to go through and take the players that you like while remaining balanced by like going Bijan Robinson, AJ Brown out the gate, I mean, you just are set up in a way where you can have so much success later on taking values. But we're going to go ahead. We are going to take Jalen Waddle here at 20. Now, in your regular redraft format, there are some players that I'd rather have over Waddle here. But the thing is, in these underdog drafts, I know I'm going to be able to find I'm going to be able to find tight end values. I'm going to be able to find running back values. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to find wide receiver values later on. So we're just going to make sure that we can get another capable wide receiver when we still have the option. But Kevin says in a 12-team PPR league, Watson, Chubb, Pollard, Keenan, Deontay Andrews, Brandon Cooks, Dobbins, Sky, Elijah Laporta, Alec Pierce, Jordan Addison. What are you thinking? I like the team overall. The main thing that I'm going to be looking at is the fact that we drafted Mark Andrews, which I love to see. Love the elite level tight end, but a big advantage that you get by taking the elite level tight end is that you don't have to roster that backup tight end in Sam Laporta. So it actually drops Sam Laporta and see if instead we can go out there and get another high upside running back on the bench. But Jalen Hurts goes 26. That team there that goes Chase, Smith, Hurts out the gate should be pretty damn excited. Okay, there are a couple different guys that we can be looking at here, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Allen goes. There are a couple different thoughts that I have with this pick here at 29. I don't want to say until this team's off. They went CMC, Calvin Ridley through the first two, and they go T. Higgins. So if Higgins would have made it, I think we would have had a little bit more of a conversation. But now that Josh Jacobs is here at pick 29, I mean, with Jacobs going and signing the contract, like we've already done the historical analysis, looking at running backs coming off the season that he just had, more times than not, they project to at minimum be top 12 guys, and in a lot of instances be top 6 guys. Obviously, this is a $25 buy-in, $3 million first place prize tournament. So you can make a very strong argument. Will Mason, the only thing that matters, the highest ceiling possible. Jonathan Taylor was the number 1 overall pick last year. Go Taylor. If you want to make that argument, I think it's a strong one to make. But I don't know. I like Jacobs here. I like him. Now, Vader coming out long time. Remember the flock says, hey, Mason, got done drafting this team and want to get your thoughts on it. We have Lamar, Bijan, JT, Diggs, Ridley, Goddard. Oh, beautiful. Sanders, Dobbins, McLaurin, JSN, Zay, Gibson, Quentin, Kadarius. Perfect team top to bottom. High upside guys, well-balanced running back, wide receiver at the gate, elite level quarterback, focusing it on the bench, those high upside running back, wide receivers for the later on in the year. I love that, my friend. But Mitch coming out says, in a 12-team PPR redraft league, from pick 12, we start 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and a flex. Lamar, Bijan, Barkley, Olave, Watson, Dotson, Kittle, Montgomery. And then on the bench, we have JSN, Johnston, Flowers, Elijah Mitchell, Tank Bigsby, Kenneth Gainwell. Thoughts and any moves? Generally, if it's going to be a league where you have to start 3 wide receivers and it's a 12-team format in the minimum, we are going to be pushing wide receivers up just a bit here. Now, with that being said, I feel like we have enough wide receiver depth, especially with the Terry McLaurin injury, having Jahan Dotson taking that step forward, and we have the high upside rookie wide receivers on the bench. I like the move. I'm really sorry I can't come up with a deal. If it was a league where you only had to start 2 wide receivers, I would say let's try to trade Kittle and one of those wide receivers for Andrews to pair up with Lamar. But in your format, I think you did a good job going through and balancing it out. And JJ says, I might be biased. I have Lamar, but I want Jalen Hurts on my team. Would me offering Lamar and Jerry Jeudy for Jalen Hurts be too much of an overpay? Jeudy is the only low option. No, I 100% go trade Lamar and Jeudy for Jalen Hurts. Do it. Maybe it'd be a little bit different if it wasn't for the Jerry Jeudy injury. But I mean, Jerry Jeudy dealing with a hamstring right now. I feel like that's a deal that I'd happily make, to be honest. Okay. So let's swing this back around. I have a couple different thoughts of what we could be looking to do here, but I don't want to say anything until we're on the clock. So this team has, they go Hopkins there, 42. This team has 0 wide receivers, so you assume that they lean wide receiver. Yeah, they go Mike Williams. We're going to get Ramondre Stevenson. This is literally best case scenario here, ladies and gentlemen, and that you look at all the teams that were drafted in Best Ball Mania. Like I said, this is a $15 million prize pool, $25 buy-in tournament. If you look at every single team drafted in Best Ball Mania, there are maybe 1% or fewer that were able to get Ramondre Stevenson this late, that were able to pair up this 4 combo of players in Kupp, Waddle, Jacobs, Ramondre. We stay well balanced through the first 4 rounds. I love this spot, ladies and gentlemen. This is beautiful. Now, I've said this a couple times in the live streams, and I want to reiterate, I appreciate donations more than anything else. It still blows my mind that people value my opinion enough to donate to the channel to hear about their fantasy football team. But I want to make sure y'all know, because I feel very bad when I only have like 10 seconds in the live stream to actually look at your team and give you a quick little piece of advice. If you are a member of the flock on flockfantasy.com and you signed up with promo code FLOCK with the Mother Flocker tier, please send me a screenshot of your fantasy football team and draft in the roster submissions tab in our Discord chat. If you send it there, I have the time during the day where I can go through and make an entire 9-10 minute podcast breaking down your fantasy football team. So by no means am I saying I don't appreciate the donations. I love them, of course. It's my job. I mean, it's a dream come true. It's more so I just feel a little bit bad that I'm not able to offer y'all more value during the live streams as I know I can on flockfantasy.com. So of course, if you want your team broken down from me in an in-depth, long-form podcast, I would highly recommend flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get 30% off any subscription. And like I said, Mother Flocker tier, yours truly will break down your team in a podcast. Plus, you'll get all my rankings, all the premium content from all your favorite fantasy football creators. So there's so much more, too, than just getting your team broken down. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Justin Fields. And this is a team that wins $3 million. Like, I'm sorry for everybody else that's been in this tournament, but now that we get the elite level quarterback, at least the elite level ceiling in here with Justin Fields at pick 53, I don't see how anybody remains competitive with our team. I mean, this is such a strong spot. Well-balanced wide receiver running back combos here with Kupp, Waddle, Jacob Stevenson, not sacrificing the quarterback upside with Justin Fields. I mean, obviously, we're extremely lucky for this to happen. But, I mean, we kind of did set ourselves up to be able to take advantage of this a bit, right? By taking Jalen Waddle there in the second round, even if maybe you would have rather had like Derrick Henry, we go Waddle just because we know they're going to be great running back values later on. We know these wide receivers are going to get pushed up. But Hernan says, I have Burrow, Kupp, Adams, Aaron Jones, Stevenson, Schultz, Godwin, and then on the bench, James Conner, Rashad White, Gibson, Addison, Burks. Great team. Dalton Schultz is our only tight end. I actually don't mind if you wanted to roster another tight end there. And especially if you're looking at like 3 quality running backs on your bench with James Conner, Rashad White, Antonio Gibson. If you wanted to package together like James Conner, Dalton Schultz, and see if we could get to like Dallas Goedert, I think that can make some sense as well, my friend. But Saram, longtime member of the flock, says, how you doing, mate? 12-team PPR shallow format where we have Hurts, Javonte, Dalvin, Hall, Elijah Mitchell, Kareem Hunt, A.J. Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Gabe Davis, JSN, Boyd, Kelsey. Thoughts? I think I messed it up. No, I mean, if you have Hurts and Kelsey, I mean, you're in a position where even if we're a little bit weaker out the gate week 1, which I would agree we probably are, especially with the JSN injury, but even if we're a little bit weaker out the gate, the advantage that you get in the long term here, my friend, is you are able to just play the numbers game out running back and wide receiver and continue to churn that waiver wire so we can find those options as the season progresses. So we already locked in a top 3 quarterback. We locked in a top 3 tight end. We get a couple extra roster spots that way as well for running back and wide receiver. So maybe the team looks a little bit weak on the surface now. In the long term, it's phenomenal though. Now, Montel says, hope all is well, Mason. 12-team PPR where we have Diggs, Adams, Lamar, Mixon, Lockett, Montgomery, Kamara, Odell, Freiermuth, Darnell Mooney. What are we thinking? Overall, I really do like the construction of the team. I'll say specifically if we're looking down there, like Darnell Mooney as a last bench spot for us. Generally, this isn't a prototype of a player that I'm trying to roster in like a shallow redraft league just because I don't know what the fundamental upside is for him to turn into an every week player that you are super pumped to start and actually maybe be like a top 15 option in fantasy. So generally, I look to possibly go like with a rookie there with that last spot or maybe a running back with some upside. But I guess if you have Kamara through the first 3 weeks that we kind of have to cover for and you're going to have a dead rush spot on that front, maybe you do need someone that's going to have a role at the beginning of the season. Now, Lawrence off the board, 66. Let's swing this back around. Miles Sanders goes. What's the news on Alexander Madison? Doesn't play in preseason finale. I don't think that's too concerning. Evans, I know, is dealing with a groin injury. I really only want to take Gabe Davis here if we're in the spot where We do have Josh Allen. We don't have Josh Allen, so there's no real reason for us to push Gabe Davis up to this point. Now, of course, if Gabe Davis falls to us in the 7th round, then we can go ahead and take him there. But let's just take Alexander Mattison. Now, typically, I don't take a lot of Alexander Mattison in these Best Ball Mania drafts because there are a lot of other drafts where he went round 9, where he went round 10, and we were able to grab him there. But, I mean, in those drafts where we went round 9, round 10 at the very beginning of the offseason, I mean, there's nobody that was able to go like Ramondre Stevenson in round 4. So I think it does kind of make up for it with that value that we got a little earlier on. But Rated R Savior, longtime member of the flock, says 12-team at PBR 3 wide receiver league. Is it better to go Lamar, Andrews, Brees, Amari, or should I gamble, try to get Herbert and Pitts or Mike Williams to the 5-6 turn? I would rather go Lamar and Andrews at the 3-4 turn than try to get Herbert and Pitts at the 5-6 turn. Because if you have Lamar, Andrews in your hand, you're guaranteed to have that stack, which we know we love. And we know for a damn fact that we prefer it over Justin Herbert and Kyle Pitts, right? And I think the running back versus wide receiver fall off that you're going to see there is not massive. So I actually would go ahead and I would just take Lamar and Andrews at the 3-4 turn. But California Keep It Out says 12-team PPR where we have Lamar, CMC, Bijan, JT, Gibson, Bigsby, DJ Moore, Mike Williams, Judy, JSN, Addison, Flowers, Kmet, Kincaid. I'm actually fine rostering 2 tight ends here if they are Kmet and Kincaid. I think that makes a natural sense. Outside of that, I mean, I like the fact that we have the elite level quarterback. We have the running backs at the very top, especially with JT as an RB3. I mean, that's ridiculous. I like the upside for the long-term wide receiver. Perfect team. I love that, my man. I love that. Now, pivoting back over, I think we're actually going to reach on a player here. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this, but we are going to go ahead and take Michael Pittman at 77. I just think that Michael Pittman as like wide receiver 40 is way too cheap. Last year, I drafted none of this guy. People were laughably high on Michael Pittman last season. If y'all remember, people were trying to comp him to Julio Jones because 37-year-old Matt Ryan was there. But it's a completely different price point now, and I don't think this offense is guaranteed to be as bad as it was last year this season. But ladies and gentlemen, please, if y'all have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Help us get to 1,000 likes on this bad boy. We almost have 2,000 people watching this, and we are 4 spots away from filling up that $500 draft. So if y'all want to see a $500 draft, make sure you drop a like. That way we can get this pumped out to some more people, and they know actually to go ahead and join with us. But Henry, longtime member of the flock, says we have the 107, 110, 201, 401, 601, and later picks in a 10-team full BBR double flex league. What's the move? I'm unsure how to use the 3 first. Are we going to go Bijan, Diggs, Lamb? If it's a 10-team league rather than a 12-team format, I think maybe we go power play. I think we go slam RB out the gate. If we could go like, say, Bijan, Barkley, Chubb, and then set ourselves up in a position to go wide receiver in the 4th and 6th rounds, knowing how much easier it's going to be to find those middle round wide receiver values. And because it's a double flex league and only a 10-team format as well, I think that you are going to be fine to find some quarterbacks later on in your draft. Okay. But let's move this over. Sutton goes 89. Obviously, Sutton moving a considerable amount up given the injury that you have to both Patrick and now Judy as well. Okay, Dalvin goes. We have a well-balanced team. There's nothing that we particularly need. Now, Tua is in play for us. We could go ahead and take Tua here and not have to take another quarterback through the rest of this draft. And if we pass on Tua, the Tyreek Hill team's probably going to take him. But to be honest with you, the Quentin Johnston value that we're going to get here at pick 92 is a little bit too much for me. I love Quentin Johnston as a prospect. He checked the main boxes that we were looking for. This was a wide receiver that broke out as a freshman. This is a wide receiver that dominated as a sophomore. This is a wide receiver that declared as a true junior. So those are the 3 things. Plus, he goes round 1 in the NFL draft. He goes to an elite level offense. We're getting him next to like Elijah Moore, Michael Thomas, Rashad Bateman. So I think overall, he checks a lot of the boxes that we look at. We know wide receivers are harder to come by in these underdog drafts. So let's fire him up. But Aaron says in a 10-team map PBR 5th pick, plan on getting Tyreek and slamming wide receivers since it's a start 3 wide receiver, 2 running back, 2 flex. Would you start targeting running backs of value? Would you go Hill, Brown, Hurts in the first 3 rounds? What do you recommend? I 100% agree. If it is a half PPR or full PPR format where you have to start 3 wide receivers and you have multiple flex spots, you are highly incentivized in this style league to go ahead and slam wide receivers early. So I would actually agree with this sentiment, my friend. And because you have 7 non-quarterback starters in your starting lineup, I actually don't mind if you wanted to pass on the elite level quarterback in round 3, even though generally I look for him. Okay. Austin says 12-team PPR home ESPN draft from pick 7. Kelsey, Chubb, JT, Amari, Herbert, Mike Williams, Dobbins, Dodson, Addison, Flowers, Charbonnet, Richardson, Penny, Bateman. Beautiful team. Chubb, JT, round 2 and round 3. It's a cheat code. What the hell am I supposed to say with this team? Phenomenal squad, my man. I mean, people giving you Nick Chubb in the middle of round 2 and Jonathan Taylor in the middle of round 3. They are just begging for you to win the league. Okay, now Gibson off the board 98. We have such a well-balanced team in this league where we really don't need anything. Now, one of the other reasons I was kind of fine passing on Tua to the Tyreek team is we did take Michael Pittman if we wanted to get another quarterback with an elite rushing ceiling in Anthony Richardson here. Evan Ingram goes 99. So let's see what this team decides to do. If they take Richardson, I'm going to go Bateman. We haven't drafted a lot of Bateman. He's a lot cheaper now than he was previously. They go Brian Robinson. So we're going to go ahead. We will take our second quarterback in Anthony Richardson. Obviously, this because it's a best ball format, we're not going to be taking 2 quarterbacks with a Justin Fields team in a regular redraft league. But I think Richardson makes sense in that he has the elite spike week potential given the rushing upside. We also took Pittman, so we get some natural correlation here as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and let's take Richardson. I don't see a massive opportunity cost if the wide receivers going right after him are Kadarius Toney, Odell Beckham Jr., and Rashad Bateman. But ladies and gentlemen, right now we are 3 likes away from hitting 500 likes in this live stream. So if you want to be our 500th like on the stream, make sure you go down there, hit that like button. And also, if you want to get in another draft with us, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, the next night, we're doing this every single night till 2024. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat in the description in the comment section. They're best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the year. It's how I drafted 700 teams, won $150,000 last season. And if you use promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings. You'll get a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And only with promo code FLOCK, because I work my butt off to get y'all this, are you going to get an exclusive Josh Allen pick'em more than less than half a passing yard against the Jets week 1. And I actually am getting y'all set up with 3 of those for this upcoming season. Obviously, only one of them for week 1, though. But Ben says, begging you for non-PPR rankings draft in a week. I actually started working on non-PPR rankings for flockfantasy.com earlier today, my friend. Can't guarantee that I'll get those out tomorrow, but if I don't get those out tomorrow, at the latest, it'll be 2 days from now. I'll definitely have them out for you before your, I'll try my best for tomorrow. We'll definitely get them out before your draft. Saul says, get offered Olave and Gallup for Ridley. What are your thoughts? I'd rather have Olave over Ridley straight up. I don't care about Gallup there, though. Quam says, 12-team, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver to flex. Yahoo pick 3. Do I pick Eckler, Bijan over Chase, assuming Jefferson and CMC are gone, considering Yahoo running back ADP? I honestly wouldn't do it if it's a full PBR league where you start 3 wide receivers mandatory. I'd still go Chase there. If it was going to be a league where you only had 2 wide receivers and 1 flex, then maybe I agree we pivot to RB. But no, not in a league where you can start up to 4 wide receivers. And Sauce says, hey, Mason, just in my 10-team PBR 1 flex league where we have Hurts, A.J. Brown, London, CMC, ETN, Walker, Andrews. And then on the bench, we have Judy, Ayuk, Gabe Davis, Charbonnet, Gibson, Quentin Johnston, as well as Rashad Bateman. Beautiful. It's the perfect example you're looking for in a 10-team league with only 1 flex. We grabbed an elite quarterback, an elite tight end, great running backs, and a ton of wide receiver depth with upside. It's like the exact kind of roster construction we want in that style format. Now, what kind of sucks for us here, right, is there's some incredible quarterback values. Like Dak Prescott here is like a no-brainer selection, but we can't take him, right? When we go Fields, when we go Richardson, we kind of lock ourselves into not taking another quarterback through the rest of this draft. But we can go ahead, we can take Pat Freiermuth. Generally, I think Pat Freiermuth outscores the wide receivers in this range, such as Tyler Boyd, Nico Collins, Jameson Williams, Zay Jones. So kind of makes sense for me to just go ahead, pull the trigger on the tight end here. We don't have one. I think when we wait this long to grab our first tight end, we can still afford to go through and take 3 tight ends in this draft at the same time. So yeah, let's pull the trigger here. And now Alex says, what's up, Mason? 9-team ESPN league. Team is Hurts, Bijan, Walker, Tyreek, Waddle, Pitts, Ridley. Should I trade Tyreek and Pitts for A.J. Brown and Mark Andrews? I would say generally no in the majority of formats. The reason I'm a little bit hesitant is because it's only a 9-team league where that elite level tight end truly does make a difference. Can everybody please spam the chat here for Alex? With this team, would you rather have the combination of Tyreek and Pitts or A.J. Brown and Mark Andrews? Can everybody please spam the chat and let them know what you want? And also, ladies and gentlemen, there are only 2 spots left in our $500 draft. No, 1 spot left in our $500 draft. If you wanted to hop in a $500 draft with us, ladies and gentlemen, right there, close to filling it up. So I'm sure it's going to go any second now. Now, 416 says 10-team PBR league, 10th pick. We have Barkley, Diggs, Allen. Beautiful. Etienne, Watson, Mike Williams, Ayuk, London, Evan Ingram, Khalil Herbert, Dotson, A.J. Dillon, P. Ryan, and Elijah Moore. What are your thoughts? Perfect team. Going back to what we were discussing previously, you get the elite level running back. We have that solid stack here with Allen, Diggs. We get middle round values at wide receiver while still following it up with Travis Etienne. That's a beautiful team. I always try to come up with how we can improve a team, but those last few ones are pretty tough to do anything with. What do we want to do here? This is where the massive teardrop is, where it's like none of these guys are exciting in the slightest. We'll go Bigsby. I've drafted way more Travis Etienne than take Bigsby this offseason, just because I do think fundamentally you have at least 70% of the snaps going in the direction of Travis Etienne this next year. With that being said, Bigsby is going to see a role on a week-to-week basis. Obviously, we're drafting him more so for the handcuff appeal. If you were to see anything happen to Travis Etienne, he could make a pretty big difference in this league. Okay, let's move this over. And ladies and gentlemen, we are 1 like away from hitting 600 likes in this live stream. And we are 1 spot away from filling that $500 draft. So make sure to go down there, drop that like in the stream if you have not already. And Dean says in a 14-team PBR double flex auction draft, hopefully we grabbed some studs and duds here. Actually, no, 14-team, we need to be a little bit more balanced. Sorry. Quarterback, we have Lawrence. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Lamb, St. Brown, Hollywood. Tight end, we have Waller. Running back, we have Dylan McKinnon, Devon H. and Samir White. Running backs are bad. I agree. Running backs are garbage. But in a 14-team double flex format, to have these elite level wide receivers and have quality quarterback play as well, I think that's going to be the main thing that we're looking at, especially if we are able to just roster as many freaking backup running backs as possible. In that style league, I want to have as many backup running backs we can on our bench and just see if we can churn the waiver wire for options later on. But Adrian, welcome to being a member of the Flog. Happy to see you, my man. And Rycheck says, enjoying all your content, helping me get ready for my drive. Good luck, my friend. Hopefully it's soon. I think most people are like drafting today. But John says, shallow 10-team league, Eckler, Ridley, Judy for Jonathan Taylor, Jamar Chase. Shallow 10-team league, I'm going to go Taylor Chase, but personally, I'm one just expecting that Jonathan Taylor is going to play, and I'm not too worried about it. Of course, I could be an idiot. I could easily be wrong, right? It's always a possibility. It's a pretty strong possibility as well. Now, JJ says Lamar, Jefferson, Smith, Hall, Sanders, Hawkinson, Christian Watson. On the bench, we have Flowers, Johnson, Judy, Dillon, JSN. Kind of putting my hope on rookies. Okay, real quick side note, we are going to take Darnell Mooney, pair him up with Justin Fields. We need another wide receiver. Perfect pick. Makes so much sense. This team top to bottom looks like it could win $3 million this year. If we win $3 million this year, ladies and gentlemen, like I've said, and same thing with y'all, because there are so many members of the flock on Underdog that I think that there's a very real probability that someone who wins Best Ball Mania this year and wins that $3 million on Underdog as a member of the flock, and please don't be a party pooper about it, all right? If you win $3 million in Best Ball Mania, you better throw the sickest flock fantasy meetup the world's ever seen, all right? I don't know what you're going to do. Rent us an Airbnb lake house. This is my plan if I win. Rent like a massive Airbnb lake house, and we are going to freaking party, okay? Please, don't bail on me. But going back to this, yeah, my man, I think early on, maybe it's going to be a little tough, right? Judy, hamstring injury. Hall coming off the torn ACL, and you have Dalvin Cook coming in. Flowers rookie, Johnston rookie, JSN rookie, as well as a wrist injury. I think it's a team that can get by at the beginning of the season. And that's kind of just what we're hoping to do here, right? If that's your style, I mean, if that's your construction so far, the goal is just get by. If we can get by till the end of the season, we'll be in a really good spot. At least until like week 3, week 4, week 5, when we get those wide receivers coming back. But ladies and gentlemen, the $500 draft just filled. I will let y'all see who we end up taking here, and then we're going to be bouncing to our other draft. And, okay, let's freaking go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go. What is this team doing here? They go Dalton Schultz. I'm fine to see that. That team goes Damon Harris. Damon Harris is who I wanted. Oh, what the hell am I supposed to do now? Oh, my gosh. I don't know. I'm going to go Gainwell. When in doubt, don't go with the 31-year-old running back that's seen one game in his NFL career with more than 20 carries. I have no idea what we should have done there. We're going to go Gainwell. He falls 8 picks past ADP. I don't know what the right answer is, but let's fire up our $500 draft, ladies and gentlemen. Pick 6. Okay, so we did get a little bit of a warm-up here. We got that warm-up in at pick 5. We know in these $500 drafts, they're crazy. They're crazier than the $25 drafts on Underdog. You already see this with Jamar Chase going off the board. And oh my gosh, is this a slow draft? Oh, brutal, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't even realize we accidentally entered in a slow $500 draft. You see the timer is 3 hours. I will keep y'all updated on if people are actually making picks and if we're able to make some selections here. Oh, that freaking sucks. But yeah, I'm assuming they're going to be sitting on that clock, ladies and gentlemen. So we're probably not going to be able to do that right now. We're going to finish out this other draft. I mean, hell, we're still killing this team here, but oh, that's disappointing. I was hoping we were going to be able to get that $500 draft going on this live stream. But nonetheless, I will keep y'all posted with that as the stream goes through. Okay, so now wide receiver, we have Kupp, Waddle, Pittman, Johnston, Darnell Mooney. Running back, we have Jacobs, Ramondre Stevenson, Alexander Madison, Tank Bigsby, Kenneth Gainwell. Quarterback, we have Fields paired up with Darnell Mooney. And we have Anthony Richardson paired up with Michael Pittman. We also have Pat Frymuth at tight ends. Let's move this down. And iProdigen says 12-team PPR double flex league where we have Allen, Bijan, Javonte, Garrett Wilson, Olave, Mike Williams, Gabe Davis, Andrews, and then on the bench, Gibson, JSN, Dillon, Penny, Johnston, Tony, Bigsby. Should I try to upgrade at running back 2 or sit tight? So running back 2 as it stands is Javonte Williams, but I mean, we do have some of those other options that could end up mixing in, such as Dillon, Penny. I mean, in general, always going into week 1, we want to be making moves, right? Like we have it in the back of our mind, okay, I need to upgrade this position. I mean, this guy's not going to get it done for me. We're in reality, everything that we're saying right now as of August 27th is fundamentally just a projection of how these running back backfields are going to be used. We're going to be wrong about a lot of this stuff. So I would just sit tight, wait until we see the Rashad Penny usage, wait until we see the Javonte Williams usage, wait until you see the Antonio Gibson usage. And maybe at the end of the day, you're in a spot where you don't need to go through and trade for a running back. I mean, but if we get to week 2 and week 3 and you still feel like it, you can, of course. But we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Alec Pierce to double stack with Anthony Richardson here. I mean, Alec Pierce makes it 5 picks past ADP. We need another wide receiver. He pairs with Anthony Richardson. Makes a ton of sense. But Adrian coming out with the donation. Thank you so much, my man. And Ernest says just went with Bijan Henry in a 14-team league. It's going to be so much harder to find running back values later on. Love that, my friend. Love that. But Jordan says turn Bijan, Amari, Swift, A.J. Brown into CMC, Lamb, Najee Harris in an 8-team league. 8-team league, the primary thing we care about is getting the best player. Depth is not going to matter. DeAndre Swift is not going to matter. So we went from Bijan to CMC, upgrade. A.J. Brown to CeeDee Lamb, upgrade. Amari Cooper and DeAndre Swift and Najee Harris, slight upgrade. All we care about is getting the best player. Great deal, my friend. Okay. Now, Tim Jenkins coming out says 8-team league, PPR 1 flex. I have Hurts, Jefferson, Diggs, Lockett, Mike Williams, and Andrews as my tight end. I feel like my running backs are weak where we have Najee, Ramadre, Pierce, Walker. Should I be worried? In an 8-team league, I would agree that they are pretty weak. But you have the quarterback 1 overall. You have the wide receiver 1 overall. You have another top 5 wide receiver. You have the number 2 tight end overall. It's not like we're going to have the best player across every single position and have the best position throughout the entire league, right? We do have to sacrifice a little bit of production somewhere, which we did at running back. I think we have upside at running back, which is the main thing that matters. I think it's a great team. Now, Dr. Ryan Cecil says in my 10-team Superflex Dynasty, Bryce Young fell to us in the 5th. I went Lawrence Watson round 1 and 2. Should I trade Lawrence for Jefferson straight up or move a quarterback for a wide receiver? So generally in a 10-team Superflex league, you will notice that it's going to be a little bit harder to sell quarterbacks because everybody's going to have enough quarterbacks in a 10-team Superflex league in comparison to like a 12-team or a 14-teamer. With that being said, I still would rather have Lawrence over Jefferson. With that being said, great value on Bryce Young. We're fine having these 3 starting quarterbacks, right? Like if you get like a no-brainer move where you could trade like Deshaun Watson for Jefferson, then at that point we would. But Wham says, hey, Mason, you're the GOAT when it comes to fantasy. Love your content. Thank you, my man. Would you trade Jefferson for A.J. Brown and Olave in a full PBR 10-team league? I have JT, Hall, Jacobs, Kittle, DJ Moore. If it was going to be like a 14-team format where you started 3 wide receivers and add a couple flex spots, hell yeah, let's go ahead and let's do it. I really like those guys that you'd be trading for. However, if it's going to be a shallow 10-team redraft format, similar to what we were talking about in that 8-team league previously, the primary thing that we need to be concerned with is going to just be the best player available. Give me the best guy we can get our hands on, and that is Justin Jefferson. Especially, we want to have those open up spots at the beginning of the offseason. I mean, in the beginning of the year. That way we can go ahead and that way we can make plays on the waiver wire, right? I mean, generally, we want to have that kind of flexibility where we can be picking up values. But Mike says, yo, Mason, Diggs and Pollard or Bijan and Lamb. Lamb, Diggs, give me Diggs, but it's close. Bijan, Pollard, give me Bijan, and it's not close. I'm going to go Bijan Robinson and CeeDee Lamb, my friend. And Paolia says, if I already have Mahomes in the big dog, should I get Cousins to stack with Jefferson and a wide receiver like Nico Collins, or take Rodgers/Lazard, or wait for a later quarterback? So there will be a lot of teams that have Jefferson, Mahomes, and Cousins all stacked together. So it's not like my favorite thing just from a uniqueness perspective. But I do think that if you're just looking at the best player available, I'd probably do go Cousins, especially if you're going to get him stacked up with Jefferson. I mean, the reason a lot of teams do it is because it's a very good thing to do. Now, Bruno says, love your work, man. In a 12-team PPR, we have Josh Allen, JT, Walker, Gibson, Zeke, Jefferson, Godwin, Pittman, JSN, Burks, Waller. I really wanted Kelsey, but went Jefferson. I mean, we have the elite quarterback. We have a great tight ends. We have wide receiver depth with upside. This is the kind of team that I'm fine rostering JSN on, right? Because you don't need JSN to do anything early on. You're rostering Jackson Smith and Jigba almost exclusively for the upside that he can give you later on in the season, which is exactly what you're looking to do at that point, right? Well, let's move this over. And we're only going to grab 1 more wide receiver and 2 more tight ends, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just make sure. Yeah, wide receiver, we have Kupp, Waddle, Pittman, Johnston. Yeah, we want 1 more wide receiver and 2 more tight ends. But Haji, longtime member of the flock, says, Mason, rate the 10-team PPR redraft format. Quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 3 flexes. Okay, generally, we are wanting to get a ton of wide receiver help here, my friend, if we can start 5 wide receivers in a full PPR format. But quarterback, we have Herbert. Beautiful. Running back, we have Barkley, Dalvin. I like that. And I hate to see Dawson Knox freaking go here. Now what the hell am I supposed to do? I guess we will possibly go... We'll go Hayden Hurst just to pair him up with DJ Chark. I mean, I kind of like Hayden Hurst in this price tag. I think that he can maybe outscore the wide receivers. But going back to this running back makes a lot of sense. We have the elite option with Barkley and then some other guys that have upside as an RB2. Wide receiver, Kupp, Smith, Ridley, Watson, Evans. This is exactly what we want at wide receiver. Tight end, we even have Kyle Pitts. Saying you got Cooper Kupp at the 202. We went Barkley, Kupp out the gate. That is obnoxious, my man. But this is the exact kind of team that I would really want if it was a 10-team league where we can start up to 5 wide receivers. But this would be the exact opposite of the team that I would want if we could only start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. So specifically for your format, my friend, I really, really do like that spot. Okay. Now let's move this over. And Neil says, how do you rank Bijan, Saquon, Chubb in redraft? I would do that exact order in a full PPR format. Non-PPR, Chubb jumps ahead of Saquon Barkley. Also, do you take Garrett Wilson or Pollard round 2 in a league where we have 2 flex spots? Assuming full PPR, actually go Garrett Wilson. If it was going to be a 1 flex league, then at that point, I think you could go ahead and you could take Tony Pollard. But I don't know. Most people will tell you Pollard. I'll say that. Most people will say Pollard. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, we're about to hit 700 likes on this stream. Actually, we already hit 700. So thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping a like in the live stream. We are about to fire up another draft right after I make my pick here. And of course, if you want to get in our next draft, these are Underdog Fantasy drafts. There's no time commitment at all during the season. So I drafted 700 teams, won $150,000 last year. And if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And only with promo code FLOCK are you also going to get an exclusive Josh Allen special pick'em, more than less than half a passing yard week 1. And like I said, I got y'all set up with 3 of those this next year. But we're going to go ahead. We will take Michael Mayer, rookie tight end here as our tight end 3. Just hopefully someone that gives us some usable weeks down the stretch. We'll take 1 more wide receiver round 8, but let's go ahead and let's fire up a little eliminator draft, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is the tournament that I'd recommend for anybody that is new to Underdog Fantasy, right? Obviously, if you're new to Underdog, there's no reason for you to go out there and hop in like a $500 draft. That'd be the dumbest thing ever. But no, this is going to be the perfect setup. It's a $6 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, $100,000 for first place. And it's a new tournament. It's a Guillotine style league. So like the quote unquote exact perfect strategy has not been solved. It has not been figured out yet, which is why this is the perfect place for new people on Underdog to fire up some drafts, have some fun, and get ready for their main fantasy football draft this next year. But we're going to be in here at pick 2, so we're either going to get Jefferson or Chase. Super excited about that. But Jonathan says in a 10-team PPR, we have 2 offers. Walker for Breece Hall, Devon Achane, or Walker, Kirk, and Josh Allen for Burrow plus. I don't know. Obviously, I need to know what I'm assuming Burrow plus Hall and Devon Achane. I wouldn't do the first one. I wouldn't trade Breece Hall and Devon Achane for Kenneth Walker, but I would trade Joe Burrow, Breece Hall, and Devon Achane for Josh Allen, Kenneth Walker, and Christian Kirk. So I think you'd be getting the upgrade from Achane to Kirk. I think you'd be getting a massive upgrade from Burrow to Allen. And I think you'd be getting a lateral move from Breece Hall to Kenneth Walker. So I do that second deal, my friend. But on the clock, Jefferson goes. So we are going to go ahead. We are going to fire up Jamar Chase here, ladies and gentlemen. And JT says in a 10-team app PPR, 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, double flex. Pick 9, Lamar, Bijan, AJ, Olave, Hawkinson, Breece, Ayuk, Montgomery, Dotson, Addison, Johnson, Warren, Bigsby. What are your thoughts? I like the team. The only thing that I would say is generally if we're looking at the end of the roster in a league where you only have to start 1 running back, I don't know if I'd be too inclined to be rostering these guys like Tank Bigsby, Jalen Warren. I almost would rather use those roster spots on high upside wide receivers if we could. At least that would be my initial thought on the matter, my friend, is just thinking, okay, if it's a league where you only have to start 1 running back, it's at a 10-team format, do these super deep running back options really even move the needle for us? Ray says, if Jerry Jeudy misses week 1, who can you start Courtland Sutton over? Super weird way to ask that question. Sutton will probably be ranked around like wide receiver 22 to like wide receiver 26 for me if Jerry Jeudy misses week 1. I think that's the easiest way for me to answer that question, my friend. I don't exactly know if we can answer it any other way. Okay, but that other league, we are going to go ahead. We're just going to take Chase Claypool there as our last wide receiver. But Jack says, I traded Waddle and Swift for JT and Lockett. I really like the deal. My running backs weren't as good as wide receivers, so I thought we'd take the risk. What is the best and worst team for JT to join fantasy-wise in your opinion? So I think the easy call for the best team is going to be the Miami Dolphins. Now, I think I don't know if there's an easy call for the worst team. Can everybody in the chat please spam? What do you think the easy call is for the worst team for Jonathan Taylor to join? Can you please let me know in the chat? Because the thing is, like, I see people saying, like, the Cardinals would never do it, right? Like, what's the realistic worst? Bears, Bears wouldn't be great. I think the Bears are realistic, and I think the Bears would not be good at the same time. But because I scrolled down to see the bottom of the chat, we just lost some of the donation questions at the very top. But I learned how to go back in time and look at these. I'm just not going to be able to pull them up on the screen. We're going to have to just read them out from another screen. So give me a second to pull these up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. But this next one coming out from Wreck-It Ralph says, pick 4 takes Ridley and Kirk. What are your thoughts? I don't know exactly what we're asking. Are you asking, taking Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk on the same team? I like making correlated bets on the same offenses, right? So if you take Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk on the same team, you're essentially making a bet that the Jacksonville Jaguars offense is going to be much better than the market predicts. And yeah, I'm not going to be reaching on those guys. I believe in that last draft, the team took Calvin Ridley at pick 21. So generally, I don't like that. But if you get them at a value, I'm fine taking them together. Moonwalking says, with Kelsey in the first, who do you like in the mid-second? Pollard, Jacobs, Adams, Lamb, Wilson, Henry. Generally, if I go Kelsey in the first, if it's a shallow redraft format, I would like if we could pair it up with a running back in round 2. That way we could just stay a little bit more balanced. So I would like if we could go ahead and take Josh Jacobs there. Now, Sir Boosty says, user cheat sheet. Hell yes. 12-team, 8th pick. Bijan, A.J. Brown, ETN, Mark Andrews, Kenneth Walker, Mike Williams, Ayuk, Gabe Davis, San Francisco 49ers defense, Dak, Algier, Boyd, Damian Harris, Derek Carr, Tyler Conklin. Beautiful, my man. The only thing I'd say is, if you have Andrews, there's no reason to roster Tyler Conklin at the very end. I would go ahead. I would look to drop Tyler Conklin and instead see if we could go out there and just pick up a running back off the waiver wire. It's like the only thing I could say. Now, Mitch says, if I have Lamar, would you trade away Barkley, Olave, Kittle to receive Walker, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mark Andrews to get the Lamar and Andrews stack? So Kittle to Andrews, obvious upgrade. Barkley to Walker, obvious downgrade. Olave to Amon-Ra St. Brown, slight upgrade. I honestly probably want it. I like the idea. I like what we're trying to do there. I just don't necessarily know if that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so Jacobs goes. Let's go Taylor. Let's mix it up. Like I said, this is a $6 buy and $100,000 first place prize, right? We are fundamentally trying to shoot for players that have insane ceilings. And I think Jonathan Taylor could be the running back 1 overall in fantasy. I think that is in his range of outcomes. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to hit 800 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. And of course, if you want to get into our next draft, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, the next night, the night after that, you can go ahead and find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat. Underdog's best ball, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. So I drafted 700 teams, won $150,000 on Underdog last year. And if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And only with promo code FLOCK are you going to get set up with an exclusive Josh Allen pick'em for more than less than half a passing yard week 1 against the Jets, ladies and gentlemen. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Adrian says, 12-team 1 flex where we have Jalen Hurts, Dalvin Cook, J.K. Dobbins, Jefferson, Devonta Smith, DJ Moore, George Kittle, Sutton, Michael Thomas, Rashad Penny, Elijah Mitchell, Alan Lazard, Gus Edwards, Marcus Valdez-Scantling, Thoughts and any trades? Okay. I really like the stack that we have with Devonta Smith, Jalen Hurts, and more so, I really like the team. I'm just trying to think if there are any trades we could be making. Someone like Marquez Valdes-Scantling is not my favorite player to roster in a regular redraft league, and I'd say the same thing with Gus Edwards. And that those guys, I think they could be viable in best ball, just given the fact that maybe you get like a random week out of them where all of a sudden they are actually usable. But I don't know if you're ever going to be able to predict what week you'd be able to use Marquez Valdes-Scantling or what week you'd be able to use Gus Edwards. So, I mean, just generally, those are guys that maybe I'll drop for some rookies. If we can find a rookie that we believe has a little more upside, like drop Gus Edwards for like Roschon Johnson, for instance. Instead of that, I like it. I mean, yeah, Sutton with the Judy and Patrick injury. That makes sense. Now, Brian says, hey, Mason, loving the content. Big help. In the main league, 10-team, happy PR. Lawrence, Bijan, Chubb, Waddle, Ridley, Debo, Pierce, London, Dobbins, Dotson, Addison, Jeff Wilson. And we have Komet at tight end. Thoughts / any advice? Here, almost the exact opposite of advice what I've been giving some of these other teams. I would say if you are sitting with only Cole Komet at tight end, I would actually probably say this is a spot where we want to be rostering another tight end on top of this, right? Like, you don't necessarily know if we just want to be rolling out Komet. If we were looking to drop someone for another tight end, I don't really have one. We have so much wide receiver depth. If we could trade, like, say, Debo Samuel and Cole Komet to go get a tight end that we really like, I think that could be interesting. But Gage says, in this range, rounds 5 and 6, I like the running backs so much more than the wide receivers. Find myself building all my teams that way, going wide receiver, quarterback, tight end early. What are your thoughts? I found that in like underdog drafts, I agree. I can find some really strong running back values in the middle round. So, and same thing with tight ends. So generally, I try to put myself in a position where I'm not having to take a wide receiver in rounds 8, 9, 10, 11 of these underdog drafts. But in like your regular shallow ESPN redraft format, I mean, I almost would have the opposite approach. I'd say generally, I mean, the tight ends, the wide receivers in those range would be the guys that I would love. Okay. Now, Drake London goes off the board, pick 44. Brandon Ayuk off 45. Swing this back around. So this isn't going to be like Best Ball Mania, right? Where we want the highest weekly ceiling from a week-to-week perspective. Here we're more so looking for the highest weekly floor from a week-to-week perspective. So see, Hopkins off the board. Wow, do we want Aaron Jones? We'll mix it up. We shouldn't have done that. Mason, you're an idiot. I'm an idiot. Ugh. I just don't really like taking Aaron Jones here. What is this team going to do? Yeah, I don't know if the Mahomes pick was the bad pick. I don't know exactly where this went off the rails, but this went off the rails. Oh my God, are we really doing this? I don't really like taking a couple elite level quarterbacks in this guillotine style league. I think it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I can't take Judy here with the injury. I can't take McLaurin with his injury. I don't really draft Christian Kirk here. So we'll go Burrow. I don't love it. Obviously, we would never do this if it wasn't best ball. But we're going to try it. We're going to try it. And let me see something. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know that we're behind on donation questions, and I am not going to miss any of these, I promise. But I think I'm actually probably going to have to turn the chat to memberships only. That way, it's easier for me to actually be able to keep track of all these. Like you can tell, I can't even pull up the questions on the live stream right now just because we're getting too many messages in the chat. So I am very sorry. We are going to turn the chat to members only for a minute. So if you're a member of the flock, if you're not already, you can hit the join button. We're going to be doing this every once in a while, essentially when the chat just gets a little bit too busy where I get way too far backed up. We are going to go ahead and turn it members only. You can join as a member on your computer YouTube doesn't let you do it on an iPhone because you have, I believe, YouTube taking 30% of all memberships or whatever. I'm sorry, Apple taking it. So you can't do it on an iPhone, but you should be able to do it on a computer or an Android if you wanted to be a member of the channel for member-only chats. We're not going to do this all the time, but definitely whenever the chat gets this far backed up. But let me go ahead and find our next question. And this one coming out from, I believe, and we're going to turn it off of members only once we get caught back up. You just got to give me a minute to catch up here, ladies and gentlemen. Zub says, someone is offering me $70 fab out of 100 for George Pickens. My other wide receivers are Hill, Ayuk. Is this worth it? Fundamentally, it comes down to how deep your league is overall. I mean, if your league is going to be one where you need to go through and roster, say, 8, 9 guys on the bench, and the waiver wire is not really going to be full of too many options, there I would rather just hold on to George Pickens. Whereas on the other end of the spectrum, if you have an extremely shallow roster where you only have like 4 bench spots and the waiver wire is going to be like a critical part of you actually contending this next year, then I'd rather have the fab. So it really depends on your league settings there, my friend. But our next question, I mean, we have a donation coming up from JPC with no donation. Thank you. And Jaden says, first pick, what's the best strategy? I want to draft Ridley and Olave at the turn, but Jefferson is Jefferson too many wide receivers? 2 wide receiver slots, but 2 flex. Should I take a running back plus Ridley / Olave instead, or take top 3 quarterback thing? I would also go Jefferson and then a running back and elite level quarterback at the 2-3 turn. Personally, that's what I would be looking to do, my friend. I mean, getting Jefferson, especially in a league where you only have to start 2 wide receivers, gives you so much flexibility in that you're able to just wait until later on in the draft and find some more wide receiver values later on. Whereas if you go like Ridley, Olave at the 2-3 turn, then you're going to pigeonhole yourself to where later in the draft, the only thing you can do, and I mean the only thing you can do, is go through and look to take like running backs, right? So I don't know. I would definitely look to go RB quarterback if we can once we start Jefferson. But Tyler coming out with a donation, thank you. And Eddie coming out says, Bijan, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Dallas Goedert, Kenneth Walker, Joe Burrow, David Montgomery, JSN, Michael Thomas, Bateman, Boyd, Devonta Smith, and San Francisco 49ers defense in a 10-team league. Okay, so we have 2 wide receiver ones. We have a running back one. We have a great tight end. We have some running backs with upside. We have Burrow. The only thing I'd say is we don't have Burrow stacked. Really, I love the team. Just if we could go through and potentially package together like Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown to go get Jamar Chase to pair up with Joe Burrow in a shallow 10-team redraft format, I'd really like that. I mean, we do want to be playing the waiver wire when we're not going to have production at the beginning of the season from someone like JSN, but we're going to have the long-term upside. I really like that team, my friend. I really do. Now, Muhammad says, in a 10-team PPR draft, 3rd pick, we have Chase, Pollard, Olave, Walker, Judy, Dobbins, Lawrence, Freiermuth, Mike Evans, Drake London. What should we look to improve on? Well, we went Hollywood here. Let's see what we're going to do on the way back around. I kind of want to go wide receiver. We'll go Judy. We'll mix in some round 7 Jerry Judy. I think Jerry Judy is going to continue to fall. Obviously, the injury is very much concerning with Jerry Judy, and you'll see him go in the 80s in a lot of these drafts as well. If we would have had Pittman making it back to us, I probably would have gone Michael Pittman over Jerry Judy. But let's just get a wide receiver while we still can. Okay. But our next one coming out from, I believe, K Squared Golf says, in a 12-team PPR from the 11 slot, we have Diggs, Jacobs, Andrews, Burrow, Sanders, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk. And then on the bench, we have Dotson, Sky Moore, Tyler Algier, Tyler Higbee, and Elijah Mitchell. Any suggestions? Kind of similar. I'd love to stack Burrow if we can. I mean, 12-team league, so it's going to be a little bit tougher to do it. I mean, we don't have as much depth, so I don't think we can. I mean, the only thing I'll generally say is if we have Andrews, I'm not really looking to roster a backup tight end. If we could package together, say, like Tyler Higbee and John Dotson, especially with no McLaurin at the beginning of the year, and get a slight upgrade at wide receiver, I'd like that. And JPZ says, in a 12-team non-PPR format, we had pick 5. Mahomes, Kelsey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DK Metcalf, Breece Hall, J.K. Dobbins, James Conner, and Gabe Davis. Any suggestions? So non-PPR format, generally we're going to be pushing wide receivers down, running backs up, really stressing the elite level quarterback here. I would say Amon-Ra St. Brown actually in a non-PPR format isn't really someone that I want. Like Amon-Ra St. Brown's primary value for you is the fact that he's going to be that wide receiver operating close to the line of scrimmage where he's going to be racking up a ton of target volume. He's going to be racking up a lot of receptions, but you're not really going to see the big plays or the seasons where he goes out there and he leads the NFL in receiving yards, right? I mean, you're kind of looking at Amon-Ra St. Brown as like this generation's Jarvis Landry. And that's an elite level player in a full PPR format, but in a non-PPR league, I'd actually like to sell Amon-Ra St. Brown if we can. And Ahmed coming out says in a 12-team full PPR where we have Herbert, Taylor, Pacheco, Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kyle Pitts, Mike Williams, Eagles defense, and then on the bench we have Brees, Pittman, Goff, Jeff Wilson, Tyler Algier, the year 2 tight end in Tennessee, Kenneth Gainwell. High upside guys on the bench, Pacheco in the starting lineup. This is going to be an interesting spot. I would love to hear what y'all have to say in the chat. Can y'all in the chat please let me know what you were thinking? Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Brees Hall or Isaiah Pacheco in your starting lineup week 1? Obviously, a Brees Hall coming out the torn ACL, but you have the uncertainty in that you have Dalvin Cook signed. I don't know. It's an interesting spot. I like that we're rostering some of those running backs. Steven says he would start Hall week 1. Just like, I know that's like not even the question, but it's just an interesting thing to think about. I like the team. And then Tyler says 12-team full PPR double flex was offered Andrews and Debo for Kelsey. Keep Kelsey. Lamar's my quarterback. Am I out of my mind for entertaining this? Yeah, keep Kelsey. Like, I understand like wanting the Andrews stack, but you just need to make sure that you're getting another elite level player in return. Now, R. says 18 PPR drafting in pick 5. How would you approach? 8-team league, grab Kelsey. 8-team league, get Kelsey, get an elite level quarterback in either round 3 or 4. Running backs, early wide receivers aren't really going to matter. Now, Skeent coming out says, Flock, what are your thoughts on Kamara? Got him in the 8th round. 8th round, completely fair price point. The issue with Kamara is if you can't put him on the IR early on, he may lock you up in terms of actual roster flexibility and moves that you can make later in the season, which could be just a little bit frustrating. Okay, let's move this over. And then Cody says, guy was queuing and took Deontay accidentally 101. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Queuing up Deontay Johnson and accidentally auto-drafting Deontay over Jefferson at pick 1. That's brutal. That's literally why I don't queue up anybody that's not in that round that I'm looking at. Sal says, hey Mace, any quarterback, tight end, wide receiver stacks you'd suggest pounding in drafts? Keep pounding those likes, Flock. Drafting in full PPR next week. And well, good luck, my man, and thank you for being a long-time member of the Flock. And yes, if you have not done so already, listen to Sal. Go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Help us out. How about this? Once we hit 1,000 likes in the stream, we will turn that chat back on to subscriber only instead of members only. And we should be a little bit closer to, hopefully, being caught back up with this chat. And if we're looking at specific quarterback, tight end, wide receiver stacks, one of my most drafted stacks this year is Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert. I mean, that is something that I've been targeting in so many of these freaking drafts. Now, Chance says in a 10-team PPR format, pick 10, we have Lawrence, Pollard, JT, Diggs, Ridley, Judy, and Njoku, Dobbins, Dotson, JSN, Gabe Davis, Gibson. We got Jonathan Taylor at the 3-4 turn. RIP your league mates here. So we went Diggs, Pollard, 1 and 2, JT, Ridley, 3 and 4. Really, the only tough spot is having JSN as well as Jerry Jeudy on the same team, right? Because when you have JSN and Jerry Jeudy on the same team, I mean, you're in a spot where you are just looking at a couple dead roster spots at the beginning portion of the season where these are guys that you're not going to be able to start, even if you like the long-term upside of them. So I don't know. It's just a tough spot to be in. But Chance says 10-team PPR pick 10. Lawrence, Pollard, JT, Diggs, Ridley, Judy, Njoku, Dobbins, Dotson, JSN, Gabe Davis, Antonio Gibson. No, we already answered that one. Apologize. Now let's move this over, and I believe we're going to go. Do we go Bateman? Yeah, let's actually mix in Bateman here. Or do we want to mix in? I actually like the idea of possibly pairing up Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon in a guillotine-style draft in particular. I think this may cap your weekly ceiling, but at the same time, I think this may actually give you a higher weekly floor. So let's try this out. By no means do I think this is like the must-have strategy, but I think it is interesting. Yeah, let's go A.J. Dillon here, 98. But Lasagna Lover coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, my friend, for being a member of the flock and coming out here pretty much every single night with us. And what's funny is I was literally just bringing up to my girlfriend how there's someone in the chat named Lasagna Lover with Garfield, because we went to a concert, got like Garfield stickers on our hands. It's like, oh, there's someone in the chat every single night that's a big Garfield fan. But nonetheless, 12-team at PBR, 1 quarterback, 2 wide receiver, 2 running back, tight end, flex, super flex. Hurts, Tua, Sam Howell, beautiful 12-team super flex league quarterback room. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Calvin Ridley, Christian Watson, Rashad Bateman, Alec Pierce. Running back, Najee Akers, Khalil Herbert, Elijah Mitchell, Brian Robinson. Tight end, Pitts, any trades or sit on my hands. Let's sit here and think real quick. I would like to move Pitts for Goddard if we can to pair up with Jalen Hurts. Even if I'm a Pitts guy, still at the same time, we could like that stack. I don't necessarily know if we want to be adding anything to Pitts to get to Goddard, though. So if we would have to add something, I think probably we don't. In terms of other moves that we could look to make, if we could say sell Ridley in a small piece, like Calvin Ridley and Rashad Bateman, or Calvin Ridley and Elijah Mitchell, or Calvin Ridley and Brian Robinson, and go get Jalen Waddle to pair up with Tua, I would really like that as well. And I think you're actually pretty damn close with how most people view Calvin Ridley, or at least how they have as of late. Great team, though, my friend. Super happy to see that you're able to get that. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with us in this live stream pretty much every single night. But Rob says, pick 2 in a happy BR 10-team league. 2 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex, where we have Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Ramondre Stevenson, Christian Watson, Breece Hall, Brandon Ayuk, Drake London, JSN, Jordan Love, Russell Wilson, Pat Frymuth, the year 2 tight end Tennessee, Zay Jones, and Tank Bigsby. 2 quarterback formats. So we have Love and Russ. Issue is just with Russ, I mean, the Judy and Patrick injuries, I'd imagine you're not going to be able to start this guy at the beginning portion of the season. I like the running backs a lot. We have the elite level wide receiver. So it's a league where you also have to start 3 running backs. So I definitely think we should be building around RB here, which we kind of do. I like it. I think we are situated well for the format as well. And Eric says, full PPR, should I trade Zach Charbonnet for Jordan Addison? I most likely would, unless it's like an extremely shallow format. Cody says, in an ESPN 12-team PPR draft from pick 12, we have Pollard, Diggs, Etienne, Gibbs, Mike Williams, James Cook, Trevor Lawrence, Evan Ingram, Quentin Johnson, Samaje Perine, Elijah Moore, Elijah Mitchell, Kadarius Toney, Tank Bigsby. What are your thoughts? Etienne, Gibbs at the 3-4 turns, phenomenal in a 12-team league. Getting Lawrence to pair up with Etienne. If we could possibly move, say, like Mike Williams and a piece to get to Calvin Ridley. Actually, no, we have Evan Ingram. Never mind. We don't need to do that. Great team. I don't think we do anything. I think we just wait to see what the role is for these guys in Kansas City at the beginning of the season and possibly look to cut Kadarius Toney if he doesn't have that role. Well, let's move this over. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be getting into another draft after this one. So, of course, if you want to get into our next draft, you can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. On Underdog, you sign up with promo code FLOCK. They're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And on top of that, only with promo code FLOCK are you going to take advantage of the exclusive Josh Allen special pick'em that we have for y'all. More than less than half a passing yard against the New York Jets. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that. Okay. Now we're about to be back up on the clock. We're going to go Burks. I mean, Burks is this super easy selection here. I mean, we need a wide receiver. He falls 19 picks past his ADP. He's on the thumbnail of this live stream. I mean, it just makes too much sense not to take this dude. Okay. What else are we doing now? Bets better on the clock. They go Juju. So Samaje Perine's actually someone that I like in these guillotine style leagues where we're not just trying to optimize for the highest ceiling possible in weeks 15, 16, 17. And instead, we're actually trying to think about who can give us that usage at the beginning portion of the season as well. So, I mean, y'all know we made fun of a lot of people earlier this offseason for taking Samaje Perine as high as they were. But I think this is a much better price point on Samaje. And real quick, ladies and gentlemen, let me give a announcement that I need to say in every live stream and I always forget. If y'all are on flockfantasy.com, please make sure you go to your account page and put in your Underdog username where it says Underdog username. If you put it in and hit enter and you are a paid member of flockfantasy.com, it will automatically add $10 into your Underdog account just immediately. So please make sure you take advantage. And I get nothing for y'all doing that. You get $10. That's it. Now, let's move this over. Our next question coming out from, I believe, Rick, who says, in a 10-team PPR double flex 6th pick, we have Jalen Hurts, James Conner, Kenneth Walker, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, David Njoku, Chris Olave, Terry McLaurin, David Montgomery, A.J. Dillon, Jamal Williams. What are your thoughts? Generally, what I'd be looking to do is I'd be looking to take Jamal and see if we can sell him to a team that would actually need him at the beginning portion of the season. It looks like with our roster, it's not like we're loaded up with injuries, but if we can find someone that had Jerry Jeudy and Jackson Smith and Jigba, or say have Jerry Jeudy and Alvin Kamara, and they need someone to throw in their flex spot like week 1, if we can then sell him Jamal Williams as like an RB1 at the beginning portion of the season and get something in return, like an upgrade that will maybe help the long-term value of our team, I think that make a lot of sense. Just specifically speaking, we don't really need that production at the beginning of the year with the way we're set up. But happy be our 10-team league. We have Saquon, Chubb, Hurts, Gibbs, Watson, Ayuk, Njoku, Godwin, Montgomery, Dotson. Should we roll the dice on wide receivers or try and trade? I mean, wide receiver is sitting with Watson, Ayuk, Godwin, Dotson. No, so the thing is, like, when y'all are going into the season right now, obviously we can project out and we can try to figure out what's going to happen and we can make guesses. But in reality, I mean, there's a lot of inherent uncertainty. I mean, there are things that we are going to be wrong about. There are things that we are going to be right about. I mean, in general, it's going to be very difficult for you to sit here and say, okay, this is exactly what's going to be happening when it comes to Jahan Dotson's target share early on in the season. You're much better off waiting until you get to weeks 1, 2, and 3 to go through and make a trade based off your team, quote unquote, need, rather than right now, because right now, I mean, maybe it looks like you may need a wide receiver. In reality, you pretty much don't. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, let's move this down. We almost lost it. Hassan, who says, rate the squad in a 10-team PPR format where we have Lamar, Eckler, Mixon, Lamb, Ridley, Ingram, Walker, Lockett, Pacheco, Zay Flowers, JSN, Myers, Jeff Wilson, Michael Gallup. So we have the running back ones. We have the elite quarterback. We have the wide receivers with upside. We have an okay tight end. I like the team. The only thing I'd say is if you're looking like Gallup, I don't know if he's ever really going to make a difference for us. I wouldn't mind if you wanted to roster Gallup and just see what happens, right? Like we can roster Gallup and we can see what the role is. But yeah, great team. And King says, in a 12-team non-PPR format where we have Lawrence, Javonte Walker, Hill, Kupp, Amon-Ra, Frymuth, and then on the bench, Daniel Jones, Devon Achane, Roshan Johnson, Jamal Williams, Zay Flowers, Drake London. Should we trade London plus for blank? Non-PPR format, generally, if we're going to be looking to make a deal, I'm actually going to be looking to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown, my friend. And what I'd be looking to do is I'd try to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for a wide receiver that possibly has an elite ceiling when it comes to his overall yardage totals, like Jamar Chase. So if you could trade like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Drake London and get like Jamar Chase, get back Tyreek Hill, I think that's what would make a lot of sense, my friend. Okay. And let's move this over. We are going to take Tyler Higbee here. I mean, super easy selection. I mean, we need a tight end. Generally, we want tight ends with high floors in this style guillotine league. So, I mean, that kind of fits the mold of exactly who Tyler Higbee is. And he fits this team exactly. And if we're going to be looking at our pick here, I think it's going to be a little bit tougher than previously. Running backs that we have later on, not exciting. Let's just go ahead and let's take Tyler Algier. Or do we go Mossard in this format? We have one player on the week 10 bye. We have Taylor on the week 11. We'll go Tyler Algier. When in doubt, don't take the 31-year-old running back that's had one game in his NFL career with more than 20 carries. Pretty good rule of thumb. Pretty good rule of thumb. But Ben says, hey, Mason, rate the team in a 10-team PPR draft, ESPN. We have Tyreek, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mark Andrews, Joe Burrow, Kenneth Walker, Akers, Damian Harris, Khalil Herbert, Michael Thomas, Gibson. Phenomenal team. I have no idea how the hell you got this team. Tyreek, Lamb, St. Brown, all on the same team while still having Andrews, Burrow, and running backs with a beautiful team. There's nothing I can freaking say about that, my man. Blake coming out of the donation. Thank you. Don't have a question with this one. Maybe another one later on. But Nene says, in a 10-team standard league, Hurts, Chubb, Madison, AJ, Hopkins, Andrews, Javonte, London, Pickens, Dotson, Charbonnet, Burks, Singletary, Edwards. What are your thoughts? The Hurts, AJ Brown stack. We have the elite level tight end with Andrews. It's a 10-team league. Great team. I just really hate rostering Gus Edwards. Like, in your 10-team shallow redraft format, there's no reason to roster Gus Edwards. You'll be able to find someone with more upside. Go pick up Tajay Spears. Go pick up Roschon Johnson. Go pick up one of these rookies that maybe has the high ceiling if the running back in front of him goes down. I mean, you're just never going to get that kind of ceiling if you're going to look at a player like, I don't know, Gus Edwards. Where, I mean, even if you have J.K. Dobbins going down, Gus Edwards still isn't going to catch the ball. Now, Sop Napkin coming out says, in a 12-team map PBR double flag spots, we have Henry, Chubb, Metcalf, Watson, Waller, Lawrence, Brian Robinson, Deontay, and Judy. How are we feeling? Double flex spots, I'd like to have a little bit more wide receiver value if we can. Yeah, generally, I'd say, yeah, if we can go through and possibly get a better wide receiver there than Deontay, Judy for our 2 flex, I wouldn't even mind possibly selling Waller in this league. Like, we'd sell like Waller and a Deontay in a package and get back like a very nice wide receiver like Chris Olave, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then kind of just pivot and stream the tight end position. I actually wouldn't mind that. And Matthew says, how do you feel about Hurts, McCaffrey, Walker, St. Brown, Debo, Christian Watson, Montgomery, Frymuth, and then on the bench, Geno, Adam Thielen, Zay, and Quentin Johnson? There's just no reason in rostering Geno Smith here. Drop Geno Smith. If you have Jalen Hurts, the reason you draft Jalen Hurts is because he's going to be the quarterback 1, quarterback 2, quarterback 3, almost regardless. So, I mean, you don't need to roster that backup quarterback, and you can save that extra roster spot overall. Now, Cam says, in an 18 PBR format, I got 2 offers for JT. Jones and Khalil Herbert, hell no. Gibbs and London, hell no. Yeah, don't do either one, my friend, especially in an 8-team league. 8-team league, the only thing that matters is getting the highest ceiling possible, and that guy is going to be Jonathan Taylor here. Now, AJ says bench equals Khalil Herbert, Dotson, Collins, Boyd, and Saints. Okay, this is going back to here. Do we change anything? Okay, one thing, I do not want to be rostering 2 defenses, even if you think that both defenses are great options. Like, if you have the 49ers and Saints, I'd love to see if we could just trade the Saints and get a better running back in a package elsewhere, you know? Like, I definitely don't want to be rostering a defense on our bench, my friend. Tyler says, 12-team PBR double flex. We have Fields, Hall, Javonte, Jamar, Waddle, Olave, Gabe Davis, Goddard. And then on the bench, we have Brian Robinson, Rashad Penny, Treylon Burks, Richardson, Bateman, Mims, and Devon Achane. I'm kind of fine having Anthony Richardson here, just given the fact that he has the elite level ceiling. Maybe we could sell high later on in the season. I like having the rookies with upside. I like the team. I think we just have to be quick to make waiver wire moves and possibly be looking to move on from Rashad Penny if he doesn't have the role that we like early on in the season. And Carlos says, in a 12-team PPR draft from pick 12, we have Kupp, Barkley, Amari, Sanders, Schultz, Deontay, Fields, Ayuk, Evans, Quentin Johnston, Zach Charbonnet, Rashee Rice, Tajay Spears, and Leonard Fournette. What are your thoughts? This is the perfect example of guys that you want to have at the bottom end of your bench. I know that's what we talk about all the time, right? Like, whenever people send me their teams, whenever I come up with suggestions, it's like, okay, what can we do to make this bench better? Because obviously, I mean, everybody knows, yeah, go get as many players that look like Cooper Kupp. Go get as many players that look like Tyreek Hill as you can possibly get your hands on. Everybody knows that you want those top-end studs. But a big thing that people overlook is the actual prototype of how you want to construct your bench, and especially those last few spots and the kind of players that we're going to be looking for. What you want on your bench, especially in those last few spots, are going to be players that you will have clarity on early on in the season. Now, of course, Leonard Fournette may be an absolute dud. Leonard Fournette may be a dead zero waste of a roster spot on your team. But with that being said, we'll know immediately. We'll know by the time we get to week 1. We'll know by the time that we get to week 2 if you can just go ahead and move on from Leonard Fournette and pick up the high upside waiver wire option. So that's kind of what we're looking for here, ladies and gentlemen. Those guys that have the upside where Fournette signs in Dallas, if Fournette signs in Miami, if Fournette signs in Indianapolis and JT's traded, then all of a sudden he can actually make a difference in your lineup. But if he's never signs it, he's an easy cut week 1. Like roster a bunch of guys like Michael Gallup, you're not going to get that clarity. Like week 1 comes by, Michael Gallup has 3 receptions for 30 receiving yards. Do you feel comfortable to cut him for whatever option you're looking at off the waiver wire? You know what I mean? That's generally what we're looking for. But let's move this down. We're going to go Greg Dulcich here, 170. Gross pick, I know. You don't need to tell me. All right. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Will says, in a 10-team PPR, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, tight end, and a flex, I have Hurts, Mixon, Walker, Wilson, Olave, Goddard. I have a proposed trade offer where they want Kenneth Walker, Isaiah Pacheco, DeAndre Swift for Derrick Henry, Mike Evans. Should I make that? Go get Derrick Henry, Mike Evans. Generally, 10-team league where you only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex spot. You want the best player in the deal. Get the stud, get the stud, get the stud. You're getting the best player in the deal. You're getting a massive upgrade from Kenneth Walker to Derrick Henry. You're also getting like an upgrade from Isaiah Pacheco to Mike Evans, and all you have to do is pay DeAndre Swift to get the deal done. Hell yes, make that trade. Now, 49ers Collection says, I got the 10th pick in a full BBR league for Yahoo. Quarterback, we have Burrow and Dak. I don't know if we love having both those quarterbacks. I mean, are playing matchups. Running backs, we have Chubb, Barkley, Connor, Penny. Wide receiver, we have Devonta Smith, Olave, Godwin, Judy. Tight end, we have Njoku. I mean, I think we have a lot of value here. I just generally be looking to go ahead and see if we could package together one of these quarterbacks. Like, see if we can trade like Joe Burrow as well as David Njoku and go get an elite level tight end, you know? I don't know if we love rostering both Burrow as well as Dak Prescott. And RJ says, in a 12-team PPR 6 spot, we have Justin Herbert, Anthony Richardson as a trade piece potentially. Hill, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Jordan Addison, MH Jr. I don't know who the hell MH Jr. is. Marvin Harrison Jr.? Breece Hall, James Conner, Brian Robinson, take Bigsby, Frymuth, and Juwan Johnson. I would cut Juwan Johnson. I mean, I'm fine if you wanted to roster, say, Anthony Richardson as a backup quarterback, right? Because my presumed assumption is if you have like Anthony Richardson as a backup quarterback, you probably got him for literally free. Like, you paid absolutely nothing to get him. So if we are looking to then at that point possibly go through and just roster him and look for the flip later on, it's definitely something that we can do. And ladies and gentlemen, we are 4 likes away from hitting 1,000 likes on this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. Be our 1,000th like of the stream. Hell, I mean, this is day like 121 of us live streaming every single day. And just in case you don't know, we are live streaming every single freaking day until 2024. So if you are not subscribed yet, fix your life, go down there and hit that subscribe button as well. But now our next question coming out from, I believe, Mark, who says, in a 10-team league, PPR double flex, I have Lamar, Bijan, Montgomery, Lamb, London, Andrews, Watson, Williams with Akers, Cook, Davis, Moore, and Addison on the bench. We have the elite quarterback. We have the elite tight end. We have great running backs, wide receivers, starting lineup, and this is the perfect roster construction. The Lamar and Andrews stack, we roster our bench spot, and we have on our bench as many running backs and wide receivers with upside as possible. That is literally the perfect thing that we are looking for, my friend. Like, that is the best spot you can potentially be in. Okay. Now, YouTube channel coming out says 12-team Burrow, Chase, St. Brown, Smith, Javonte, Montgomery, Hawkinson. Should I trade Javonte and Smith for Barkley? Yes, if this is our starting lineup, where you have JSN, Dylan, McKinnon on the bench, where you only have one flex spot, going back to what we were talking about previously, especially August 27th, get the best player in the deal. Go ahead, go trade for Saquon Barkley, especially if you're just giving up Javonte and Devonta Smith. I think it makes a ton of sense. Now, Keyshawn Vaughn off the board. So I'm actually going to go ahead and take another running back here. I'm going to take Kareem Hunt. Generally, we're only drafting 5 running backs if we start with this running back room in like a regular Best Ball Mania draft, right? But this is a guillotine style draft. So instead, we are going to be optimizing for like a higher floor than we would be a higher ceiling. So we're going to take the extra running back. I'm going to take the extra tight end. and instead taking the extra wide receiver. So we'll go Tyler Conklin, and we will grab another wide receiver in round 18. But let me show you all off this draft, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to hop into another draft, ladies and gentlemen. So let me show you all this one, just in case you want to laugh at me and call me an idiot. You're more than welcome to. And then we are going to go ahead and we're going to fire up our next one right after this. Okay, let's go ahead and let's get this bad boy going. And we'll get in another little eliminator because I don't know how many more days this tournament is going to be open. So please, of course, if y'all are wanting to get in this tournament, now is the best time. This is the best tournament for someone that's trying to prepare for their main fantasy football league this next year, or just getting some extra fun drafts on the side, right, that you're not having to worry about during the season. So let's go ahead and let's fire this bad boy up. It's a $6 buy-in, $100,000 first place prize, Guillotine style tournament with, I believe, a $500,000 prize, but we are going to be pick 7 here. But let's move this over. And Luke coming out says, in a 12-team PPR, 1 flex league, we have Jalen Hurts, Bijan Robinson, Miles Sanders, A.J. Brown, Michael Pittman, Greg Dulcich, Cam Akers. And then on the bench, we have Judy, Addison, Quentin Johnston, Penny, Boyd, Damian Harris, and Anthony Richardson. A lot of teams here with an elite quarterback and Anthony Richardson. Here we have the long-term upside of wide receiver down there on the bench. I think we just wait until we get some clarity on the Penny, Damian Harris situation and possibly look to have those guys as our cut candidates. And I will say, if Greg Dulcich is our only tight end on our roster, I'm completely fine if you wanted to roster multiple tight ends. But Tilted Hippo coming out says, in a 14-team, a full PPR format, I'm the 14th pick. What do? Generally, if you're in a 14-team format, it's very important that you stay flexible, right? Because if you're in a 14-team league, you go wide receiver out the gate, then all of a sudden you have 28 picks between your selections. You're not up again in another 28 picks. So it is very possible for you to see a crazy running back run happen, and you may get completely boxed out of the position. And in a 14-team league, it's going to be much harder to play the waiver wire. So I would generally try to stay flexible in the early rounds. Like if we go with a running back wide receiver combo at the 1-2 turn, followed up with an elite quarterback at the 3-4 turn, I would really like that, my friend. Now, Blake coming up, and we are caught back up with the chat. Hell yes. 14-team PBR, Burrow, Jonathan Taylor, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mike Williams, Greg Dulcich, Miles Sanders, Ravens defense, Greg Joseph, Dylan, Gabe Davis, Jeff Wilson, Goff, Algier, Mims, and Tank Dell. Team looks a little weak on the surface, but it's a 14-team format. Of course, everybody's going to be a little bit weaker. We still have the elite level running back, Bijan, another running back with a ton of upside, JT, an elite level wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Really, it's just the depth of the team that doesn't look great, but it makes sense. And I'm fine if it's a 14-team format, if we want to go through and roster that extra guy. If we want to roster Jared Goff there behind Joe Burrow. Obviously, in a 10-team and a 12-team league, that's not something we're looking to do, but I think it does make sense here. I actually really like this team the more that we look at it with this being a 14-team format, my friend. Now, Derek, longtime member of the Flock, says, rate my team $50 league, 10-team format where we have Hurts quarterback, running back, we have Henry, Hall, Stevenson, White, Dillon, Mitchell, wide receiver, Hill, Ayuk, London, Addison, Rashee Rice, Goddard, tight end. Beautiful. Beautiful, my man. Having the Hurts, Goddard stack, having the upside running backs, wide receivers, exactly what we are looking for. You love to see it. Love to see it. And then Dumpy Undies coming out says, would you start Alexander Madison or Isaiah Pacheco in the flex in a full PBR ESPN 10-team league? Love the videos, by the way. Thank you, my friend. Would you add? I would start Alexander Madison. I mean, with Isaiah Pacheco coming off an injury, and I do kind of want to see what the backfield split's going to be there, right? I mean, we haven't really got to see him in the preseason at all. Rigor Mortis says, rate the 12-team league where we have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, double flex. We have Watson, Jacobs, Walker, Kupp, Adams. Kupp and Adams in a league where we're going to start 4 wide receivers, full PBR format. Love it. Have no idea how we got Jacobs on this team as well. Hawkinson, Hopkins, Godwin, Dylan, Akers, Goff, Juju, Jameson. Beautiful. Beautiful. Probably better than any team I've ever drafted. I don't want to say ever drafted. Better than any team I've drafted in a very long time, my friend. But we're going to go ahead. We will take Jalen Waddle to pair up with Bijan Robinson. Stay flexible in the first 2 rounds. Y'all saw the underdog draft that we did this, earlier on the live stream that I freaking loved. And a big reason for that is because we took Jalen Waddle round 2, giving us the flexibility to take running back values later. But Reed coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. Happy to see you. And Kobe coming out says, in a 14-team league where we start Kirk Richardson quarterback, great quarterback combo to 14-team format, right? Like, we're very confident in what Kirk Cousins is going to give us this next season. Maybe your one fault against Cousins is he doesn't have a true, like, elite level ceiling. However, if you are going to be pairing him up, say, with Anthony Richardson, you do have that elite level ceiling. Connor, Javonte, Khalil, Damian Harris, a little weak at running back. But wide receiver, we have Hill, A.J. Brown, Olave, Hopkins. We have Ingram, Kincaid at tight end. I love it. We just have to make sure we're rostering as many running backs as freaking possible. That way we can hopefully find a couple running backs off the waiver wire through the course of the season. But Smith off the board, 21. Now, Steven says PBR with half a point per carry. Quarterback, we have Allen. Running back, we have Gibbs, Kamara, Walker, James Cook, Zach Charbonnet, Ty Chandler. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Elijah Moore, Drake London, Gabe Davis, Michael Thomas, Zay Jones. Tight end, we have David Njoku. We start 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers. Okay, so in this format in particular, if it is a half point per carry, as well as you have to start 4 running backs, the running back position is literally everything. I don't like that we went Tyreek Hill here. I don't like that we went Devontae Adams here. I would have wanted to punt wide receiver. I would love to sell Tyreek, Devontae Adams for running backs. Running backs are going to dramatically outscore wide receivers in this format. The follow-up at the position is going to be a lot quicker as well. If you have to start 4 of these guys, my man, I think you honestly have to sell Tyreek and Devontae Adams so we can get some strong running backs in return. Especially if you can get, like, sell Tyreek Hill for, like, Nick Chubb. It'd be like a no-brainer in this style league. But Dylan coming out with the donation. Thank you, my man. And Garrett says, Burrow, Eckler, Barkley, Pacheco, Penny, Waddle, Deontay, Lockett, Judy, Jayden Reed, Tony, Lazard, Rashee Rice, Darren Waller. I'm feeling decent about the lineup, but I need a wide receiver and a deeper running back bench. Yeah, my overall issue with this team is not necessarily who we have in the starting lineup. It's just that we're rostering Rashee Rice, Allen Lazard, Kadarius Toney, Jayden Reed, Jerry Jeudy, Tyler Lockett, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle. You have 8 wide receivers on this roster, and it's a shallow roster overall. I definitely think some of these wide receivers at the very end of your team, you literally just drop them. Maybe if we can make 2-for-1 deals and get the most marginal of upgrades in the starting lineup possible. And then in return, go through and look to see if we can get, say, some running backs off the waiver wire. That's going to be the primary thing that I'm looking for, my friend. Okay. But Kenzo says, new to the channel, was able to pick up Bijan and Big Ten. Congrats. Love to see that. With Lamb and Ridley, just traded away Gibbs, Lockett for Jonathan. Oh my gosh. Obviously, PBR Gibbs is going to get a slight bump, but if you look at the upside that Jonathan Taylor has, where Jonathan Taylor was the legitimate 101 in drafts last year, I think it makes so much sense. The leverage that he has makes it where he's almost guaranteed where he has to play football this next season. Yeah, I love that, my friend. I love it. Okay. Now, Garrett says, full BBR 12-team league, just needs some advice on trades to get a better wide receiver. So going back to this. That's what we were saying. I don't necessarily think you need a better wide receiver in the starting lineup. That's my issue. You can start Waddle, Deontay, and Lockett's going to be great at the beginning of the year with the injury that you have to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think the fundamental issue with the team is how many roster wide receivers we have in the first place. I think you drop Jayden Reed, possibly try to pack together Lazard like Deontay to get a slight, tiny upgrade like Amari. And then play. I don't think you need a better wide receiver, my man. I think you just need to use that bench a little bit more selectively for running backs. But Nick coming out says, drafted today out of the 12 spot in a half-point passing touchdown format. We're getting, half-point PBR, 6-point passing touchdown format, 3 flexes. Okay, 3 flexes. We want to hammer in wide receivers if we can. We start Kupp, Wilson. So it starts us off well. We have Gibbs, Burrow, Watson, Dotson, Herbert, Kamara, P. Ryan, Charbonnet, Laporta, Komet, Dobbs, Tank Dell. How did I do? I like it overall. I will say, don't love having, say, Sam Laporta and Cole Komet at tight end. Generally in a league where we have 3 flex spots, this is actually where I'm willing to take the opposite side of the spectrum, where we were saying earlier on to Garrett, right, where Garrett had, a similar style league where he's going through and rostering a ton of these wide receivers down here on the bench. This is where we want to be rostering a lot of wide receivers. If it's a league where instead you have to have 3 flex spots, say you can get 5-6 wide receivers in your starting lineup, that's where I want to be using as many of those roster spots down there on the bench as wide receiver as possible. Because, wide receiver depth is actually going to make a big time difference in that format in particular. Now, Deebo Samuel off the board here, and let's swing this back around. And ladies and gentlemen, we're about to hit 1,100 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. Help us hit 1,100. And of course, if you want to get into our next draft, whether that's tonight, tomorrow, the next day, we're doing this every single night on the live stream. This is Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the season. So I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 on Underdog last year. And if you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get my 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find my 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And only with promo code FLOCK are you going to get an exclusive Josh Allen special pick'em, more than less than half a passing yard. So please make sure you are taking advantage of that. But Dylan coming out says in a 10-team league where we have Mahomes, CMC, JT, Lamb, Debo, Lockett, Akers, Frymuth. The bench is Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, Khalil Herbert, Odell, Tyler Boyd, Gus Edwards. I like the team. Love what we have at the top end with the elite level studs. My eyes always go to the bottom of the bench, and I just don't get why people are rostering Gus Edwards. Like, what's the upside case with Gus Edwards? There is none. Like, even if Dobbins goes down, you don't start Gus Edwards over Cam Akers. You don't start him over JT. You don't start him over CMC. So in my mind, I would just drop Gus Edwards, get like Roschon Johnson instead. Outside of that, I mean, if we could possibly, say, package together like Odell and Akers and get a slight upgrade in the starting lineup, we'll do that. And that way you don't even have to drop Gus Edwards. But great team. I mean, especially in a 10-team league, only one flex spot. You're going to be taking swings on those running backs with a crap ton of upside, such as Christian McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor, right? I mean, that's the primary thing that we're trying to do here. Okay, so Brandon Ayuk off the board there, 49. And Captain says, 14-team full BBR through my first 3 rounds. We have Bijan, Waddle, Najee. How would you grade that group? Okay, 14-team format, obviously, our expectations have to change a bit. Generally, in a 12-team league, I would hope that we'd get Najee Harris in round 4, but in a 14-team format where running backs are going to get pushed up, I really like it. And I also like the fact that through the 14-team league, we stay a little bit more flexible, at least having some production at running back and wide receiver, putting ourselves in a position where we can take value later on in the draft. Okay, but we have some quarterbacks going right before us. Lawrence going there, 51 is very interesting. Completely fine with those quarterbacks going when we take Lamar. Hawkinson goes. Y'all know Hawkinson's my guy at this price. So we will go ahead. We'll just take Christian Kirk. Now, full transparency, I haven't drafted a lot of Christian Kirk in underdog drafts this offseason. Reason being is Christian Kirk used to go at the 4-5 turn. I thought that price was literally insane. Here it's going to be a little bit better at pick 55. But, I mean, hell, he looks like he could be regulated to slot duties in Jacksonville right now. So it looks like could be a tough situation for Christian Kirk going into this next year. Okay. But our next question coming out from, I believe, Ryan, who says, in a 12-team PPR league where we have Lamar, Jacobs, Javonte, James Cook, Lamb, Devonta Smith, Quentin Johnson, Zay Flowers, Bateman, Jalen Warren, Jameson Williams, Gerald Everett at tight end. Any moves to be made? I would definitely rather have better tight end than Gerald Everett. Now, the fundamental issue you're going to see with this team is we have so many guys for the long term, not a lot of action for the short term, right? Javonte Williams will be better in the second half of the year. That's not the main issue, but when we also pair that up with, I mean, Jameson Williams, who you have no action with for the first 6 weeks, Zay Flowers, who's not going to do much at the beginning, Quentin Johnson, who's not going to do much at the beginning. I'm fine having one of these guys. I'm fine even maybe having 2 of these guys in the same team. But when we load up our roster on only those rookie wide receivers, plus someone like Jameson Williams, who has no shot to play at the beginning of the year, then at that point, you are putting yourself in a position where you don't have much flexibility in the slightest for you to potentially be able to go through and, I don't know, make any moves for the long term, right? Like, what are we supposed to do in week 2 when we have an exciting waiver wire option come available? We can't do anything. Kind of stuck. So honestly, if you can't put Jameson Williams on your IR, I'll drop Jameson and see if we can get another high upside tight in there, because I don't know if Gerald Everett's going to get it done for us. Okay. So let's move this over. Judy McLaurin still falling here. I think we took Jerry Judy in the 7th round of the last draft. And Hunter says, 10-team PPR 103, went CMC, Garrett Wilson, then Jonathan Taylor at the beginning of the 3rd round. Beautiful. Was it too soon to pull the trigger on him over St. Brown and Waddle? And it was CMC, JT, Kenneth Walker, Wilson, Amari Lund. No, beautiful team. Judy as well. The thing is, in that 10-team league, we need to go through and we need to make massive swings for players that can fundamentally make a difference for us. Do we believe that Jonathan Taylor can make a fundamental difference for our team? Yes. I also think he doesn't have a lot of leverage. He probably won't be playing with Indianapolis this next year, but he most likely will be playing overall. So I like it. Now, Reed says, Myers or Michael Thomas, full PPR week 1. Oh, how the hell do we have to make that decision? If I have to, we go Michael Thomas. Because, I mean, based off what we're looking at now, he's healthy. Obviously, just because he's healthy right now doesn't mean much in the long term, though. Now, California coming out says trade Lamar and DJ Moore for Justin Herbert and Avon Smith. We have Mike Williams. 6-point passing touchdown format. I'm fine if you do it because in a 6-point passing touchdown league, Justin Herbert and Lamar Jackson are going to be a little bit closer. 4-point passing touchdown format, you need to keep the elite rushing ceiling that you have with Lamar. Now, Elijah says Mason need a draft grade from the 7th spot in a 10-team league where we went Bijan, Wilson, Etienne, Ridley, Ramadre, Burrow, Goddard, Mike Williams, Addison Cooks, Penny, Algier. Okay. Level wide receiver. We have Ridley round 4. Ramadre round 5. Burrow. Oh, my God. This is a great team. Generally, the only thing I'm going to look to do is if we can get that stag with Burrow, if we could go through and like trade a Mike Williams and another lesser piece like Mike Williams and Jordan Addison and somehow get to like T. Higgins, I think that'd make a lot of sense for us. But great team, my man. Great team. Okay. Now, Zabronsky says, in an 18 PPR format, rate the squad. Hurts, Bijan, Kupp, Waddle, Ridley, Ramadre, Kyle Pitts, Breece Hall, Drake London, Brandon Ayuk, as well as Jordan Addison. So we have potentially the wide receiver 1 overall, potentially the running back 1 overall, potentially the quarterback 1 overall. High upside wide receivers with Waddle, Ridley. High upside running backs. We have a great team. Obviously, in an 8-team league, everybody's going to look great. Like, Kyle Pitts isn't a great tight end option in an 8-team format like he may be in a 12-team league, but still, I like the team overall. Okay. Let's move this over. This team's gone 0 RB. They go James Conner. There's 77. Yeah, I don't like 0 RB as much here in these guillotine-style leagues. Okay, what is this team doing? But Ryan says, hey, Mason, the league I run ballooned from a 12-team to a 16-team league. Oh, my gosh, my friend. What roster settings do you recommend to keep it fun and to not so weaken the waivers? So if you want to make sure that people are still active with the waiver wire, I would say that you just need to make sure that there are not a ton of bench spots, right? So I would do the math and figure out how many players were being rostered across the entire 12-team league with your settings last season. And say you had like 8 bench spots last year. And if you do the math and you say, okay, if we're adding in these 4 extra teams, maybe we need to cut those 8 bench spots down to 4 bench spots. That way there's still going to be options on the waiver wire and people can still go through and make moves through the course of the season. I think that's going to be the big thing. I don't want to really be changing too much when it comes to the starting lineup requirements. I think it's more so we are possibly wanting to go ahead and change how many players are rostered overall. That way you just make sure that the waiver wire in that 16-team format is still something that you can use, unlike a dynasty league, right? Like, the one drawback to dynasty leagues is during the season, you really can't do anything on the waivers or during the offseason. But I don't know. Taco says, just drafted. What are your thoughts? We have Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, and Breece Hall. We have also Jefferson, London. Tight end, we have Goddard. We have Lockett in the flex. And then on the bench, Brian Robinson, JSN, Dobbs, Elijah Moore, Jalen Hyatt, Zach Charbonnet. 12-team BBR pick 1. Advisor opinions. Thank you, my man. No, thank you so much. I'm just trying to figure out, did we get Breece Hall at the 4-5 turn? If we got Breece Hall at the 4-5 turn, this is a monstrous team. Having Jefferson, Jalen Hurts just gives every team such a high floor ceiling combo. It really just comes down to, are we going to be able to hit on those other running backs? We have the Hurts Goddard stack as well. Yeah, the main thing is just constantly churning that waiver wire. I'd probably look to cut someone like Romeo Doubs and see if we can get another high upside running back off the waiver wire, even if that's Hunt, even if that's Fournette, just to see if those guys get signed before week 1. I love that spot to be in. Okay, let's swing this back around. And obviously, you have Courtland Sutton moving up these draft boards dramatically with the injury to Jerry Jeudy. And y'all know I'm not a big Courtland Sutton guy, and I will be the first person to admit Courtland Sutton very much deserves to be moving up. I'm still going to take Quentin Johnson over him, though. I think Quentin Johnson's in a much better offense. I think Quentin Johnson's a much better player as well. So generally, in fantasy football, it's probably a good idea to take the better player in the better offense, even if maybe Courtland Sutton has an easier path to opportunity in the short term. But Steven and Mark joining the flocks. I mean, they've been members of the flock for a while now, but happy to see y'all. Thank you so much, my friend. And let's move this over. And I believe we lost some of these questions, so we're going to have to pull it up on our other screen here real quick. But after we go Quentin Johnston, you have Dalvin Cook and Courtland Sutton immediately after. Okay. Thomas goes 93. So James says, you're the man, Mason. Where can I improve? A 12-team app PBR 3 flex. I have Herbert, CMC, James Conner, Waddle, Amari, Andrews. The 3 flexes, Montgomery, Jordan Addison, Zach Charbonnet. And then on the bench, Mostert, Singletary, Jamison Williams, Zay Flowers. So this is something that I know maybe is a little bit annoying, right? Because you've heard me say in so many leagues that are like a 10-team format where you only have 1 flex, where I am going out of my way and doing everything I can to get an elite level tight end. Because in that style format, I mean, wide receiver depth's going to be easy to come by. Wide receiver depth, you're going to have so many guys that we can look at where it's almost just essentially free and you can pass on those guys early. However, if you are going to be looking at what you have when it comes to a 12-team league where you have 3 or more flex spots, it's going to be a little bit different, right? Wide receiver depth isn't going to be super easy to come by. In that style contest, instead, you're going to be more inclined to go through and see if we can build wide receivers at the top. And I would actually be a little bit more willing to punt tight end here. So I wouldn't mind if you wanted to go through and honestly throw Andrews out there on the block. By no means am I telling you that you have to sell Mark Andrews. But if we could say move Mark Andrews in a return, get back the combination of Kyle Pitts as well as like DK Metcalf and pick up a very exciting option for one of those flex spots in this deeper style league, while at the same time getting another tight end that we're at least excited to start, even if he's not like the best start in the world, right? That would be something that I'm interested in. Now, we're going to go ahead and I think we're just going to take Tua and only draft a total of 2 quarterbacks in this league. Generally, I'm trying to put ourselves in a position to take 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends here in these guillotine style contests, but we are mixing it up just a bit. So, I mean, I feel like a couple drafts today, we have taken an elite level quarterback, whether that's Lamar, Allen, and only taken 1 more. So we'll go 2. I don't really care too much about having the correlation in here with Waddle. I mean, it's better than not, but it's not as important in these guillotine style leagues as it would be otherwise. Okay, well, let's move this back around. And our next question coming out from, I believe, Gianni says, in a 10-team PPR format where we have Watson, Chase, Ridley, Garrett Wilson, Barkley, Stevenson, Goddard, and then on the bench, Madison, Mike Williams, Javonte Kmet, Richardson, Flowers. What are your thoughts? Don't love rostering both a backup quarterback as well as a backup tight end. I think we kind of pick our lane here and either look to trade Anthony Richardson in a package or see if we can just trade Cole Kmet and get a slight upgrade elsewhere, even if that's packaging Kmet, Madison, just getting Kenneth Walker. If we can't do that, I wouldn't even mind cutting Cole Kmet. It just does seem like we hinder our overall upside if we are rostering both 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends, especially if you have very strong quarterbacks and tight ends anyway. Now, Justin says, in a 12-team map PBR format where we have Hurts, Chase, Smith, Walker, White, Goddard, London, Addison, Charbonnet, Damien Harris, Jacoby Myers, what are your thoughts? elite level quarterback, elite level wide receiver. We have that quarterback paired up with both Devonta Smith, Dallas Goedert. Down there on the bench, we are prioritizing high upside running backs. Really, the only thing I'd say is Myers isn't going to make a big difference. But yeah, I like the team. It just comes down to, can we work the waiver wire? Can we get running backs that we are excited about? And Deb Patel coming out says, 12-team app PPR. We have Justin Herbert, JT, Gibbs, Jefferson, Hopkins, Everett, Hollywood, James Cook. Bench is Gibson, Gainwell, Algier, Charbonnet, Marcus Valdes-Scantling. What are your thoughts? I'd be looking to move on from Marcus Valdes-Scantling for a backup tight end. I mean, generally, if we have Gerald Everett, it's not really the tier of tight end where I think we can say, okay, yeah, we're safely only starting this guy, even if we do have the stack with Justin Herbert. I don't necessarily think the Marcus Valdes-Scantling has the ceiling either to be someone that you're ever super pumped to start over like Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, or Jefferson. I think it's like just kind of similar to a bunch of waiver wire options. So that's what I'd be looking to do. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I have not talked this fast and said this many words on a live stream quite some time. Y'all are going to have to excuse me, and I need to text the girlfriend to bring me some water because it looks like we're going long tonight on this live stream, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going anywhere anytime soon, please. And we are going to go ahead. We'll take Kadarius Toney. I mean, y'all know I'm not the biggest Kadarius Toney fanboy. Y'all know we made fun of people for taking him in the 6th round over Mike Evans earlier this offseason. Put out an article on flogfantasy.com calling him the worst pick in fantasy football. Made a video on the YouTube channel calling him that worst pick in fantasy football. But here it is a much better spot to be taking him, right? If we're getting him at pick 114. Okay. Let's move this down. And Quo's coming out says, in a 12-team full PPR pick 8, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and a super flex. We have Lawrence, Devontae Adams, Calvin Ridley, Bijan Robinson, J.K. Dobbins, Evan Ingram, Russell Wilson. Keep in mind, super flex league. Bench, we have London, Javonte, Brian Robinson, Zach Charbonnet, Elijah Mitchell, Zay Flowers. Would love having a third quarterback if we had one available to us. I mean, it kind of is what it is, right? I mean, if all those guys went, then they went. But I mean, if somehow, yeah, like Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell sitting out there on the waiver wire, I definitely would look to drop, like, say, Elijah Mitchell and go get that extra quarterback. Really like that we are focusing on the high upside running backs, wide receivers for the bench, though. We have the elite level wide receiver. We have the elite level running back with Bijan. I like the team overall, my friend. We have the Lawrence Ingram stack. We have the Lawrence Ridley stack. Makes sense. Now, Superman coming out says PBR 1 flex 12 team. Drafted Tyreek, Saquon, JT, Andrews, Fields, Brees, London, Dotson, Flowers, Elijah Moore, Tank Bigsby, Bateman, Jalen Warren, Anthony Richardson. Feels stacked at running back, but weaker at wide receiver. What are your thoughts? So, yeah, running back, we are extremely strong with Saquon, Jonathan Taylor, Brees Hall. But at the same time, I'd say wide receiver, we have Tyreek Hill holding it down. We have upside with guys like London and Dotson. I actually think you're in a very comfortable spot at wide receiver, especially at the beginning portion of the season when you have no Terry McLaurin potentially in Washington. I would at least wait until you get to the beginning of the season and see what the usage looks like for Jahan Dotson with this Terry McLaurin injury. Maybe that is something that you're primarily wanting to hold on to Jahan Dotson with. Okay. Let's go ahead and let's move this around, ladies and gentlemen. So we are not taking another quarterback in the rest of this draft. And honestly, we're only going to take one more wide receiver. And I'd rather not take another wide receiver for quite some time. Now, running back, we have Bijan, Miles Sanders. Quarterback, we have Lamar and Tua. We definitely need to be looking at tight end, but I don't know if we can take a tight end here at 127. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, the Duke, who says, I have the 6th pick in a 12-team app PBR format. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 2 flex. I expect Jefferson, Chase, CMC, Eckler, Bijan to be gone before me. Who do I take? I would go Kelsey. Now, I'll say I'm a little bit less excited about Kelsey in this format where you do have multiple flex spots. Not only do you have multiple flex spots, but also it's a 12-team league. Like I said, I still am going to go Travis Kelsey there, but I agree with you. I don't think it's like a super no-brainer call. Adrian says in an 8-team app PBR double flex, guy wants Diggs, Ridley, Goddard for Kelsey. What are your thoughts? If it's a shallow bench, I'd go ahead and do it. Because the thing is, if it's an 8-team league, you have to ask yourself, okay, I'm trading these 3 players for Travis Kelsey. But if it's an 8-team league, the top options on your waiver wire are going to be very exciting. You may be looking at like Quentin Johnston. Some crazy leagues, you may be looking at like even Michael Pittman on your waiver wire. in an 8-team format if it's a shallow bench. So you need to go through and figure out the 2 guys that you would be picking up off the waiver wire and throw them on the Travis Kelce side of it. Because if all of a sudden you can pick up like Quentin Johnston and Michael Pittman off of it, off the waiver wire, and it's like, okay, would I trade Diggs, Ridley, Goddard for Kelce, Michael Pittman, and Quentin Johnston? It's probably yes, right? But obviously, if you don't include those names, it just seems like such a crazy deal. But an 8-team league is such a crazy format. Now, Tyler says, 12-team, I have Fields, Chase, A.J. Brown, Gibbs, Stevenson, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Christian Watson, Kenneth Walker, Javonte, and Jerry Jeudy. Oh, beautiful, my man. How the hell do we get Chase, A.J. Brown on the same team? Paired up with Garrett Wilson. Literally absurd team, my man. Straight up absurd. But Ben's Mafia coming out says, my man, in a 14-team full PPR, the team is Tua, Breece Hall, Aaron Jones, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, Kyle Pitts, Deebo Samuel, Cortland Sutton. What are your thoughts? 14-team format. We start Diggs, Adams. We have running backs upside, Hall, Jones. We have the tight end we like, Pitts. This is great in a 14-team league. Honestly, if it was a 10-team league, I'd be like, man, I don't know what we were thinking here. I don't love the squad. But in a 14-team format, like Breece Hall is easily a top 14 RB this next year. Aaron Jones, arguably, maybe is the top 14 RB. Minimum's top 28 RB. So we have a running back 1, RB2 here, pretty much at the minimum. Diggs, Adams are definitely top 14 wide receivers. So we have 2 wide receiver 1s. Pitts is definitely a top 14 tight end. So we have a tight end 1. 2 is a top 14. I mean, we are well above average across the board, especially in that 14-team league. Now, Chris coming out says, in a 12-team PPR double flex, quarterback, we have Watson, Daniel Jones. Wide receiver, we have Tyreek, McLaurin, Christian Watson, Pittman, JSN, Odell. Running back, we have Jacobs, Mixon, Pirine, Mostert. Tight end, we have Andrews and Komet. So I do like it, but especially in a double flex league, I don't want to be rostering backup quarterbacks and backup tight ends. I think you move on from Cole Kmet here and pick up another running back. Like, there's no reason in my mind where we should be rostering a combined 4 quarterbacks and tight ends and only 4 running backs. I would definitely, especially if you have Andrews, the reason you have Andrews and what he provides so much value with is you start him every week regardless of matchup where you don't necessarily need that backup tight end. JJ says, can I get a quick explanation as of how underdog drafts work? I joined 2 already. I assume you can't trade right, just pick up on the bench. Yeah, no, so with underdog drafts, they're best ball. So there's no time commitment at all during the year. Like I said, that's how I drafted 700 teams last season. So I'm going to draft this team, and if I want to check in on it a month from now, if I want to check in on it 2 months from now, I can, but I also never have to look at it. At the end of every single week, your best starting lineup is automatically going to be submitted for you. So if Damian Harris randomly pops off and scores 2 touchdowns in Buffalo and actually outscores Bijan Robinson, he will slide ahead of Bijan Robinson in my starting lineup for that week. And also, you're going to go super deep where guys like Robert Woods, Josh Downs, Chase Claypool are even getting drafted in the last round. So there is no waiver wire. And that's why it's going to be super important from a roster construction perspective to take 2 to 3 quarterbacks and 2 to 3 tight ends. So that's why these underdog drafts aren't going to replace your main fantasy football league. It's just going to be some extra fun on the side and also some good practice drafts if you haven't had your main draft yet. But of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, if you want to get into one of these underdog drafts with us, you can find that link in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. If you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get my 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find my 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And on top of that, only with promo code FLOCK are you going to be able to take advantage of the exclusive Josh Allen special pick'em, more than less than half a passing yard against the New York Jets week 1. Now here, I think we're just going to go with another running back. We're going to go Roschon, hook 'em horns. We already grabbed one of our Longhorn running backs with Bijan Robinson. Let's go ahead and let's grab our next guy with Roschon Johnson here. Okay. So Roschon 7, and let's move this down. So we're going to take 6 RBs with this team. I mean, specifically in these guillotine style drafts, right? Okay. So let's move this over. John coming out says, trade for running back or wait. 12-team PPR, bonus points for big plays / games. We have Hurts, Akers, Brian Robinson, Chase, Olave, Waller, Christian Watson, And on the bench, we have Mike Williams, Zach Charbonnet, Jarrett McKinnon, Elijah Mitchell, Jonathan Mingo, Tank Bigsby, and Marvin Mims. So overall, I do agree we need to be on watch to be trading for one of these RBs. But at the end of the day, we are operating with such limited information at this moment that it can't hurt to at least wait until week 1 where we have a much better idea of what we are looking at with our RBs. Once we get that week under our belt and we have that useful data point where we are able to see what the split is like between Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson. I mean, what role does Jarrett McKinnon have this next season? Once we have that clarity, you may actually have one of these RBs that you weren't expecting being playable for you at the beginning of the season. And at the same time, we can be working the waiver wire. So generally, I just want to have our roster constructed in a way where we have a lot of upside going into this next year, but we don't find ourselves in a position where we have to be trading for a team need August 27th. So I think you have upside at the running back position, and that's the main thing to focus in on, my friend. But let's move this over. Devin Singletary goes off the board at 160. Rondale Moore goes. Okay, we need a tight end. I mean, super simple. We're just going to take tight end who's highest in ADP. We're going to go Gerald Everett here. Great offense. Hopefully you see some random spikes. I mean, there's not much to it. We need a tight ends. Let's take one here. We're going to have to take 3 in this draft overall. Max says, how are you moving Mims with the injuries in Denver? So yeah, Mims obviously going up dramatically in dynasty rankings. Mims going up a lot in these underdog best ball drafts as well. But in your regular redraft format, it's very difficult to sit here and say that Marvin Mims is going to be some wide receiver that you can be super excited about and you're going to be starting on a week-to-week basis this next season. Like the thing with Mims is he's like a perfect guy from an underdog perspective, right? Where he maybe does have one of those random spike weeks where he has a receiving touchdown for 80 yards and he's usable. Can we actually predict that happening though before it happens that week? Probably not. So I think Mims definitely a lot more appealing with the injuries in these underdog drafts. However, in your regular redraft format, you're still probably just an end of roster spot guy. But him coming out with a massive donation. Thank you, my friend. Says in a 12-team full PPR pick 5, we have Lawrence, Chase, Garrett Wilson, Avonta Smith, Mike Williams, Jordan Addison, Romeo Dobbs. Running back, we have Stevenson, Gibson, Charbonnet, Penny. Tight end, we have Pitts and Kincaid. Should I trade one of my wide receivers for a running back 2? We only start 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex. So generally in this style format, yeah, I mean, we're not really going to be super incentivized to have a bunch of wide receiver depth. I mean, we are in a position where Jordan Addison obviously is not going to be doing much at the beginning portion of the year. I think that once we have Addison breaking out, then at that point, we will be in a position of power where we can look to trade one of Mike Williams or Jordan Addison. But until that does happen, I would at least rather wait until week 1 and get some clarity on the situation between Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, Zach Charbonnet, Rashad Penny, and what the respective splits are going to be in their backfields where maybe these guys are usable at the beginning portion of the season. What I would do to prepare for week 1 right now, however, is I would at least go through and try to grab one more guy off the waiver wire if we can to have another bite at the apple at the running back position by possibly trading like Romeo Dobbs. I'm not even trading, just cutting Romeo Dobbs and picking up another running back off the waiver wire that you think has upside, even if that's like Kareem Hunt or Leonard Fournette, someone that we could cut immediately. Okay, but let's go ahead and let's move this back around. Curtis Samuel goes. So generally, I'm not going to be looking at wide receivers here, if I'm going to be honest with you. So this team only has 5 wide receivers. Yeah, so they are looking at wide receiver. We're going to go ahead. We will take Kondre Miller here as our 5th RB. We're going to take 6 RBs. I mean, I think it's a fair price point. Obviously, for the first 3 weeks, you have no Kamara, and I doubt that Jamal Williams is going to see literally every single touch out of this backfield, so maybe he's useful at the beginning of the season. He was an okay prospect coming out of TCU. I mean, he gets the NFL draft capital as well. I mean, hell, this guy does go in round 3 of the draft, so we will go ahead and we will take him here. But ladies and gentlemen, please, if you have not done so already, we're probably going to end up live streaming for 3 to 4 hours tonight. So if you have not done so, go down there, drop a like on the live stream. Help us out. This is day 121 of us live streaming drafts in a row. So please go down there and hit that like button if you have not done so. Now, our next question coming out from Gavin says, 10-team PPR drafting at 9. We have Eckler, Lamb, Olave, Lamar, Hawkinson, London, Javonte, Kamara, Akers, Judy, Addison, Mitchell, Quentin Johnson. What are your thoughts? Love the first 5 rounds. The first 5 rounds is freaking ridiculous. Later on, we're just focusing in on running back upside as well as wide. Beautiful team. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful team, my man. Obviously, I guess the 10-team league, obviously, it's going to look a little bit better. But even with that being said, I mean, that's still great for a 10-team format. Now, Garrett says, in a 10-team PPR format where we start no flexes, the only thing that matters is the elite studs here. I mean, give me an elite quarterback. Give me an elite tight end. Oh, yeah, you need an elite quarterback and tight end. We have Fields, Bijan, Gibbs, Adams, Ridley, Goddard. And then on the bench, we have Hall, Hollywood, Johnston, Charbonnet, Dillon, Khalil Herbert, Jared Goff. Try to package one of these guys with Goddard and get the best tight end you can in return. Trade Breece Hall, Dallas Goddard, get Travis Kelce. Trade Hollywood and Goddard and get TJ Hawkinson. Like in this format, how you go through and take advantage is just elite quarterback and elite tight end. Like that matters so much more. Now, Gooch says, 10-team full BBR, Carr, Mixon, Stevenson, Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Waller, Sanders, Ayuk, Kirk, Herbert, Zay Flowers. Any recommendations on quarterback or running back? You definitely need to be rostering 2 quarterbacks here if Derek Carr is going to be your first guy. So I'd be picking up another quarterback off the waiver wire and looking to play the matchups there. When it comes to running back, I think you're actually going to be fine with the guys that we sit now, Stevenson, Mixon, and Sanders. Primarily, you just need to be making sure that you are going through and streaming the quarterback position. In a 10-team league, Derek Carr is not someone that you can just go through and roll out there as your starter every single week. Okay. But let's move this down. Zamir White falling. Obviously, Zamir White should continue to fall. And Jay says, will Jerry Jeudy do anything this year? Hopefully, yes, my man. I'm assuming you will. Chew Bubbard off the board. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Deonta Foreman. I actually like pairing up Roschon and Deonta Foreman as well. Make a consolidated bet that maybe, Khalil Herbert doesn't do much this next season. If Khalil Herbert doesn't do much this next year, then, maybe both these guys can hit and actually end up raising our weekly floor from a week-to-week perspective. So, yeah, we're going to go Deonta Foreman. We're still going to be taking 2 more tight ends in this draft. And honestly, there's a small chance that we maybe end up pulling the trigger on... Actually, no, we're going to take 2 more tight ends, and that's it. Never mind. I apologize. But, yeah, let's go ahead and let's hop into another draft here, ladies and gentlemen. And I will keep you all updated on those tight ends that we end up taking. But we're going to get into another little eliminator draft. It's going to be another $6 buy-in. And there are 11 spots open in this draft room if anybody wants to draft with us. But that Vietnamese guy, a long time member of the flock out here, says, what are your thoughts on a 10-minute league There's 10-man league I started with my friends. We went Chase, St. Brown, Waddle, Taylor. Oh, my God. Lamar. Beautiful. The thing is, starting 3 wide receivers out the gate generally would be something that I'd be worried would severely cap the overall ceiling that you would have at running back. But when you're getting Jonathan Taylor at the 4-5 turn, that concern just goes out the window. If you're going to get Jonathan Taylor at the 4-5 turn, all of a sudden, the last thing you need to be concerned about is not having running back in the 1st and 2nd round there. That's a great team, my man. Now, Paul coming out says, 12-team PPR standard format. Trade Amari for Gibbs. We have CMC, Dobbins, Olave, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and on the bench, London, Addison, Johnson. Hell yes. Go ahead and make that deal, my man. I think that makes a lot of sense. Gibbs, top 15 pick in this year's draft. Phenomenal pass catcher, elite level athlete behind an elite offensive line. Fruit Punch says 12-team full BBR dynasty, full rebuild. Eckler for the 103, where we're going to get JSN plus a future 2nd and Evan Ingram, or the 106 plus a future 1st. I would go ahead and I'd get JSN. Is JSN worth the extra 1st? It's... There was like a super flex 1st, yes, but in a 1 quarterback 1st, unless you think it's early. I would go ahead and just get JSN. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get lucky to have Jamar Chase making it to us here. CMC goes off the board at 1. Yeah, Jamar Chase, super easy pick, knowing the running back values we'll get later on. And Cole says, thoughts on a 10-team league? We have 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, double flex, 1 quarterback. Okay, so Tua, Chase, Kupp, Pollard, Stevenson, Andrews, Madison, Goff, Watson, Kamara, Pickens, Thielen, Sutton, Odell. We're rostering way too many wide receivers, my friend. We're rostering Chase, Kupp, Watson, Pickens, Thielen, Sutton, Odell. What's the chance Odell or Adam Thielen as your wide receiver 7 does anything here? Drop Thielen at the minimum. Pick up another running back off the waiver wire. With it being a double flex, I don't think you have to drop Thielen and Odell, but at least one of those guys. Okay. Now, James says, doing a wacky $20 league where every yard is 1 point. How would you value the positions? I'm thinking quarterbacks and wide receivers are best. And how would you approach? Oh, my God, my man. That is wild. Quarterback, and Mahomes goes at the 101. Quarterback throws for 5,000 yards, they get 5,000 points. Mahomes goes to the 101. Yeah, take a quarterback you think could lead the NFL in passing. They're in the first. Don't take quarterbacks that are going to run the ball. Just take someone who's going to air it out. And I don't even know beyond that. I've never played in something like that, my man. I'm sorry. I have no experience. Nathan coming out with the donation. Thank you, my friend. And O-Tropic says best position to draft from in a 10-team and a 12-team format. As long as we have top 5 pick, I'm chilling. If you have a top 5 pick where you're able to get CMC, Chase, Jefferson, Kelsey, CMC, or Bijan, you're great, my friend. You're great. Okay. No consensus signing up for Underdog. What is the promo? I'm assuming you are trolling me, my man, because I only say it every 15 seconds. But just in case someone here watching does not know somehow, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. These are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during the season. So I drafted 700 teams, won $150,000 last year on Underdog. And if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And on top of that, you are going to get access to an exclusive Josh Allen pick'em line week 1 against the Jets. More than less than half a passing yard, but that's only with promo code FLOCK, ladies and gentlemen. Just make sure you are taking advantage. But let's move this over. And Tyler says, started a little eliminator underdog draft at pick 9, where we have Eckler, Diggs, Metcalf, Mixon, Herbert. Have you noticed teams paying less attention to ADP in the eliminator? For 100%. I think you should pay less attention. I like it. And what I like about this start, which you didn't even say, but it's definitely worth pointing out, is in the little eliminator draft, I think you can take like Burrow. I think you can take Herbert round 5, even if you don't have one of their pass catchers, just because you don't need the stack in this style tournament. So yeah, I like that we go through and take Herbert there round 5 with no Keenan, with no Mike, with no Eckler. Actually, we had Eckler, right? We had Eckler, but still. Okay. Now, Josh Jacobs goes 20. Derrick Henry, 21. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take Olave. The amount of teams that will have Chase and Olave together are going to be very, very few if you look at how their ADPs line up. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, Robin says, just drafted in a 12-team standard draft where we got Barkley, Jacobs, Ridley, Debo, Darren Waller, Swift, Dak. What are your thoughts? I really like it. I would say this is a style format where I do like pairing up our quarterback with the pass catcher. So if we could package together, say like Calvin Ridley and another asset, like say Calvin Ridley and Deebo Samuel, if we could get to CeeDee Lamb, I'd really like that. Obviously, I don't think we have to go that high of a price point immediately. If instead you wanted to go like Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Swift, and see if we can get to CeeDee Lamb that way, I think it can make a lot of sense as well, my friend. Okay, so we're going to go Jonathan Taylor here. Let's move this down. And William says, is Dulcich startable, and does his value go up with no Jerry Jeudy? Yeah, so Jerry Jeudy being removed from this offense definitely bumps the target share you can give the Denver Broncos tight ends, right? Now, the question is, what's the split between Dulcich and Troutman? If Troutman is legit, and he's going to have a large role, then I don't know if he's going to be startable. I'll definitely say I'm not starting a Denver Broncos tight end until at least we see the usage week 1. If we see the usage week 1, I'm down for it. Now, Francisco says in a 12-team Dynasty Superflex tight end premium, we have Mahomes, Rodgers, Chubb, Dylan, Adams, Cooks, Deontay, Goddard, Breece Hall, Zach Charbonnet, Roshan, Renfro, Brandon Cooks. I would say Okay, obviously, Dynasty going to be much deeper. I mean, Dynasty, I can't tell you to go through and cut Hunter Renfrow. Just the options to pick up are going to be so much worse. Team that's definitely built to win now. Because this team is so built to win now, if you could find like a Christian McCaffrey squad that is looking like they're playing for the long term, and we could possibly be selling, say, Breece Hall to the CMC team so we can win this season and they can get the long-term value, I wouldn't mind making a move like that. But the main thing is, if I'm making moves to try to go through and win in Dynasty, I generally like making those trades during the season once we confirm that we are contending and we are playing for this year, which it looks like that will be the case. So I think you are just possibly on the radar to do that. Now, Ethan says, I'm in a 10-team keeper league, and I kept 2 elite wide receivers, but I'm in need of a running back, and the best running back left is Bijan. But if he is picked, do I go JT or Tony Pollard? I think you have to go Pollard for now. I think you go Pollard for now, and once we know the landing spot of Jonathan Taylor, then at that point, maybe we can pivot to Taylor. Now, Keenan goes 37. So we have a super well-balanced start, right? Chase, Olave, and Taylor. I'm going to continue to go through and bet on Taylor. Like, this is a $6 buy-in, $100,000 tournament. So this is a $6 buy-in, $100,000 tournament. I'm looking for the highest season-long upside we can have. And the Young Zerks coming out says, non-PPR draft from tonight, 10-team, 2 running back, 3 wide receiver, double flex. So a little bit different, right? I mean, generally, if it's a 3 wide receiver, double flex, full PPR format, I'm pushing up wide receivers because we want to be playing wide receivers in the flex spots. However, in a non-PPR format, you're generally wanting to play RBs in those flexes based off the math that we've seen over the past few seasons. So here we have at quarterback, Justin Fields. Love the elite level quarterback, specifically in a league that's non-PPR. DK Metcalf, Calvin Ridley, Jahan Dotson at wide receiver. Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry at running back. Oh my gosh. Pittman, Sutton, Gibson, Sky. This is a beautiful. You freaking crushed this, my man. Specifically for a non-PPR format where our objective is to go through and see if we can start running backs each and every week in the flex spots. And we can potentially, in a non-PPR format, throw out Bijan, Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall for workhorse level running backs. That is a phenomenal spot, my man. And a little bit of wide receiver depth sprinkled in. Literally perfect. That's exactly how I try to optimize for that format. Okay, so let's move this over. And Jackson says, 12-team PPR, would you trade Henry and Mike Williams or Brandon Ayuk for CMC? Oh, hell yeah. What would you rather do? Okay, I would rather trade Derrick Henry and Brandon Ayuk for CMC, especially in a PPR format. Non-PPR, maybe a little bit different. But PPR, there's going to be a fundamental big difference. Between Derrick Henry and... Sorry. I guess we will go Fields. Big difference between Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey in that full PPR format. Yeah, thought process here is, okay, well, we're going to get a quarterback on the way back around no matter what. But then we had Justin Herbert go 45, so it's like, okay, I don't necessarily know if we are guaranteed to get Fields on the way back around in the 5th. The other players that would be looking at this range aren't too exciting. So might as well just go ahead and lock up Justin Fields. Okay. Kenneth Walker goes 49. Kenneth Walker definitely was looking at, was definitely looking to be our pick on the way back around here. Aaron Jones goes. I don't know if I want to take Burrow. I don't know if I like taking 2 quarterbacks in this format. We'll take Burrow. F it. We'll mix up some teams where we do what we've done on the live stream today, where we pair up the elite level quarterbacks. It's still best ball. We had a lot of success doing this last year. In the eliminator style tournament, I think it's not nearly as appealing as it would be in a regular underdog tournament like Best Ball Mania, but still. But Ryan says 8-team PBR double flex. Crazy to go Kelsey Mahomes at the 1-0. 8-team league, I don't think it's crazy. Specifically in an 8-team league. But the reason being is 8-team leagues are crazy overall. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Shane, who says, hey, Mason, in a 12-team PBR format, I picked at 7 and in order got Tyreek, Pollard, Allen, Etienne, Waller, Hollywood, Ayuk, and Dotson. What are your thoughts? Love the channel. Love Allen in the 3rd. Love Etienne in the 4th. The middle round wide receiver values make a lot of sense, but if you're going to get those middle round wide receiver values, I wouldn't have mind you going running back in round 1. Actually, Tyreek Hill round 7 is too good a pass on. I love the team, my man. I really like it. If we could trade like say Hollywood Brown and maybe get back a player like Gabe Davis to pair with Josh Allen, I wouldn't mind that. And Tori says 12-team at PBR, Herbert, Barkley, Pollard, Ridley, Pittman, Walker, Kamara. And then on the bench, we have Herbert, Godwin, Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, Tank Bigsby, Sam Laporta. Okay. I don't want to roster a rookie tight end if we have Darren Waller. I agree that Sam Laporta's in a great situation, but fundamentally, I don't know if he's really going to move the needle for you this season in particular, knowing the production curve that you generally have from these rookie tight ends. I'd probably be looking to move on from Sam Laporta and primarily focus in on the upside that we have with Darren Waller and hopefully getting another running back that we like. Aaron says, hey, Mason, at BBR 10-team league where we can start up to 5 wide receivers. 5th pick, if A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Avonte Adams, CeeDee Lamb are gone in the 2nd, should I go with a running back value like Jacobs? Yes, I'm fine with you doing that. As we already discussing in this format, we want to be generally slamming wide receivers in the middle rounds. But if those guys are gone, you could go Josh Jacobs, and that could give you more flexibility to just continue to take wide receivers after that, if that makes sense. Like going with like a hero RB build. And Gordon says in a 12-team at PBR format, 2 wide receivers, 1 flex. We went Bijan, Hurts, JT, Keenan, Kittle, London, Deontay, Montgomery, Quentin, Bigsby. Good balance between, yes, 100%. And this is another great example. It's a league where you only have 2 wide receiver slots and 1 flex. In that league where you only have 2 wide receiver slots and 1 flex, you're going to get incredible value at wide receiver later on. You're going to get Drake London round 6. You're going to get Deontay Johnson round 7. So this is why you take the elite level 3-down backs with an elite level quarterback and tight end combo as well. Perfect, my man. Jordan says 10-team at PBR 1 flex. Keep Diggs or Lamb. I'd go Diggs. CMC, Bijan, Chubb, Amon-Ra, Garrett Wilson, Barkley, Devontae, Pollard, Henry, Olave, Mahomes available. Strategy for the 1st and 2nd round. If we're going to keep Diggs in this style format, I definitely want to be going through and getting an elite level running back if we can. Like, I don't necessarily know if we want to go like Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb out the gate if it's a 10-team league with only 1 flex, because then we're not going to be able to take advantage of wide receiver value later. And Aaron says, is Waddle in the 2nd of reach? In this format, yeah, I think you would go ahead and you would take Jacobs, and then you could get those wide receiver values in rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Garrett says, 12-team full BBR ESPN, Burrow, Javonte, Montgomery, Jefferson, Higgins, Kelsey, Waller. I have no bench left, but I put myself in a corner. Any advice? Then you let it ride, my man. I mean, if we have Darren Waller or Travis Kelce, we definitely should be trading away Darren Waller, right? Like, it's not like Darren Waller is going to score so many freaking points. It's going to be so much better than wide receivers and running backs. No, I mean, the reason Darren Waller is valuable is because it's going to be so much better than the other crap tight ends that people have options to go and play. So if we could find someone that needs a tight end, send them Darren Waller, possibly in a package with like David Montgomery and get an elite level running back in return, I think that'd make a lot of sense. But GPB coming out says, 12-team at PBR 2 flex spots. I have Watson, Henry, Madison, Adams, Amari, Waller, James Cook, Cortland Sutton. What are your thoughts on this? I like the more balanced approach. Hopefully we have another wide receiver on the bench that has some upside for later on in the year. Generally, I like our setup where we're looking at Cortland Sutton in the flex, but for the beginning of the season with no Jerry Jeudy. Like, I don't necessarily know if we're going to be looking at Cortland Sutton, the flex by the time Judy gets back, as something that we're excited about, right? Okay. Now, our next question coming out from Thomas says, in a 10-team PPR, I have Allen, JT, Kamara, Javonte, James Cook, Tank Bigsby, Kupp, Keenan, Tony, Addison, Quentin Johnston, Burks, Waller, Kincaid, and I'm scared of my running backs. What should we look to do? Yeah, running back early on may be a little bit tough here, my friend. I mean, in general, I would say that we just have way too many guys where we're only thinking about the end of the season. I mean, Kamara is not going to be viable at the beginning. Javonte may not be viable at the beginning. Bigsby's not going to be viable at the beginning. Tony's not going to be viable at the beginning. Addison's not viable at the beginning. Quentin Johnston's not viable at the beginning. Burks is probably injured, not viable at the beginning. Kincaid's not either. The thing is, you just have too many rookies on this team at the end of the day. I mean, you can't have rookies on your team, right? And generally, rookies have an elite level ceiling later on in the year that you're excited about. But specifically, when you begin to stack all these guys together, we need to ask ourselves, okay, how are we going to get by the beginning of the season? Who can we cut when we're excited about waiver wire options? I'd love to trade Kincaid with one of those running backs and get someone that's going to help us. Like if you trade Kincaid for Jamal Williams right now and use Jamal at the beginning of the year, I think that make a lot of sense for your team. Now, Owit coming out says, in a 12-team app PBR, keeping Fields in the 9th, should I use my other keeper on Dobbins in the 6th, Madison in the 8th, Madison and Mike Williams in the 12th, or Gabe Davis in the 15th? Keeper format, I mean, cost won't matter much. I'm going to go Madison in the 8th. I think Dobbins is a little bit more exciting for like 2024 and beyond, but if it's a league where you only keep 2 guys, I just want to treat it as if it's a redraft. Now, George says, in a 12-team half-point PBR, 2 keepers, 1 quarterback, 2 running back, 3 wide receivers, tight end, and a flex. I'm keeping Pollard and ETN, drafting in the 3rd pick, Jefferson, Chase, and CMC all capped. Can you rank the rest of the best for me? Okay. So let's think this through. 3rd pick, Jefferson, Chase, CMC all gone. Bijan's next best. In this format, I would then go Eckler and Kelsey. I'm not as inclined to go Kelsey here, given the fact that you start 3 wide receivers instead of 2. But yeah, I think we start off with those elite level backs, and then 5 rounds straight, we just hammer in wide receivers. But Ultra Alfie says, hey man, I was wondering if this was good. My league mates think I'm dumb for getting Bijan in the 2nd. I was the 3rd overall pick, and I picked... No, that's beautiful, my man. I'm literally out here telling people to take Bijan Robinson in the middle of round 1. Literally round 1. And A. Mavi says, 12-team PBR, quarterback, we have Goff, Kyler. Running back, we have Taylor, Brees, Walker, Javonte, Rashad White. Wide receiver, I have Chase, St. Brown, London, Addison, Johnston. Tight end, we have Laporta. Oh, yeah, you can't do this. Cut Kyler. If Kyler's not on your IR, there's no reason in wasting a roster spot at the beginning of the season. I mean, this is someone that is not going to play early on. So, yeah, just cut Kyler straight up. Go get a tight end. I mean, go get a quarterback that will actually play for you. And you need another tight end, my man. You're not going to be able to start. This is the same thing that we saw with these other teams, right? Like, you can go out there and you can get a couple of these guys that you're very excited about their long-term upside with. But once all of a sudden you have Quentin Johnston, Sam Laporta, Jordan Addison, Kyler Murray, all in the same team, like we're sitting here with 4 guys that aren't going to be playing in your lineup at the beginning of the year. It's going to be really, really tough to get by. Okay. Now, let's go ahead and find our next question. Ethan says, in a 12-team app PBR, 1 quarterback, 1 flex. 101, we got CMC, Olave, Hurts, perfect. Pierce, Dobbins, DJ Moore, Frymuth. I'm surprised DJ Moore fell that far to you. I figured DJ Moore had a little bit more hype going on. We have the Bills and Bengals defenses. Which defense? Generally, I think that, honestly, you don't want to listen to me for defenses. I generally just look at Las Vegas spreads and then go through and stream defenses. I'd probably go Bills. Let me look at... No, Bills are playing the Jets week 1. Who are the Bengals playing week 1? Play the Browns. I'd probably rather play the Bengals against the Browns. I don't necessarily think either spot's great. But if we were to use one, that's what I'd be doing. Colin coming out with the donation. Thank you, my friend. And AJ says, excuse me, but you skipped my roster. Only discuss the bench. Yeah, because the thing is, my man, if we're looking at the top end, Kelsey, AJ Brown, Higgins, Burrow, Watson, Madison, and P.R., Brady Cooks, Nico Collins, Boyd, Khalil Herbert, Dotson, and Herbert. Obviously, it's a great team. What am I supposed to say? Oh, no, Kelsey's not good. Herbert's not good. I mean, AJ Brown's not great. Higgins, no, this is a great team at the very top. I just generally like looking at the bench because those are the actionable advice. The actionable advice I can actually give you and hopefully help you improve. I mean, overall, it's a great team. I love the fact you were able to pair up Kelsey, AJ Brown, Higgins, Burrow. The fact you got Burrow round 4 to pair up with Higgins round 3 is phenomenal. I really do like that. It just fundamentally comes down to trying to roster as many of those running backs on the bench. That way we are able to just go through and cycle those guys into the starting lineup because the one weak spot on that roster is going to be running back. Okay. Now, Jared says, late on the prep, man, favorite mid-round picks. Ooh. Let's think. I'm sorry, real quick. Just sitting here looking at who should go. I'm going to go Dylan. I like Dylan in these. Middle round picks, if you can get like Dobbins at the 6-7 turn, I really like that. Outside of like running back Dobbins at the 6-7 turn, I really like Javonte. I like David Montgomery at this price point as well. And if you're able to get like tight ends, George Kittle round 6, Kyle Pitts, Dallas Goedert round 7. Those are some of my favorite selections as well in the middle rounds. Jeep Guy says, Flock mod draft results sent. I got picked. Hell yes, my man. Going to be super pumped to look at that. Thank you for sending that. Enrique says, would you trade Barkley for Jacobs now with the Jacobs news? No, I'd still rather have Barkley over Jacobs. They're pretty damn close. They're back-to-back for me. John says, 12-team PPR home league. Top 10 quarterbacks gone in the first 4 rounds. Watson, CMC, Chubb, Amari, Mike Williams, Deontay, Javonte, James Cook, as well as Sky Moore. Okay. So looking at this. Elite running backs. We just need some wide receivers to hit. That's the main thing. I love the Watson Amari stack because we essentially go through and make that consolidated bet that the Cleveland Browns are able to get back the 2017 Deshaun Watson, the 2018 Deshaun Watson, the 2019 Deshaun Watson. If that happens, we're crushing. Okay. Braden says, any tips on Dynasty startup drafts? I have an entire Dynasty channel. I'll really be able to help you out, my friend. Look up the Dynasty Football Flock. 10-team Superflex League. I got the 5th pick and don't know if I should grab Jefferson or commit with the Herbert. If it's a Superflex League, yeah, you want to be going with Justin Herbert or Joe Burrow, my friend. Daniel says, a 14-team PBR double flex. Quarterback touchdowns are 6 points. Bijan, Mahomes, DK, Christian Watson, Brees, Dobbins, Gabe. This looks like a 12-team, 10-team league. This is great. I really like that we punt tight end in that 14-team format. So what we discussed before, generally you want to be punting tight end in a 14-team. That way we can load up on running backs and wide receivers and still feel comfortable elsewhere. Now, Bean says, hey, Mason, how to get a personalized podcast reviewing my team. Okay, so if you are a member of flockfantasy.com, my friend, make sure you join our Discord. You can do that by clicking the link of the Discord icon at the very top. That's going to be where our group chat is. And it will automatically link your flockfantasy.com account with your Discord account. And if you signed up to flockfantasy.com with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your, they're going to get you 30% off any subscription. And if you sign up to the Mother Flocker tier with promo code FLOCK, when you go to link to your Discord, then it will unlock the roster submissions tab under Mason's Flock, and you can send me your team there, my friend. But now Kunj coming out says thoughts on a 12-team Superflex where we have Hurts, Watson, A.J. Brown, Amari, Ramondre, Sanders, the year 2 tight end Tennessee, Godwin, Cook, and then on the bench, Addison, Sutton, Stroud, Rice, Laporta. Drop C.J. Stroud. Actually, no, Superflex. Never mind. I'm stupid. A great team. Yeah, we need to hit on a tight end, but it actually does make a lot of sense to have those 2 elite level quarterbacks and C.J. Stroud there as well. But Cam says full BBR Mahomes, Jacobs, Damian Pierce, Jefferson, Godwin, Hawkinson, Jamal, Josh Allen fell to us in the 5th. I picked them up for bargaining purposes. This is the tough spot, right? Because if you have Mahomes and say Josh Allen falls to you like the 5th, obviously you're sitting there going, okay, well, I'm going to pick up Josh Allen and I'm going to get so much. In reality, everybody knows, like, okay, yeah, this guy needs to sell Josh Allen. Like, I can lowball this guy for Josh Allen. He has no need for him. So it does put you in a tough spot. It's like, okay, guys, come on. Can I get a fair price for Josh Allen? Well, at the same time, nobody really wants to. I'm interested to know what you're able to sell Josh Allen for. Hopefully it's a very active league. Give more long time. Remember the flock says, yo, brother, was this a smart trade? Gave Barkley and London for Cup, Devontae Adams. Beautiful deal. Also, scoop CMC and Fields looking to trade up. This is the perfect trade. Like Barkley, Cup, similar tier. Depends on what position you need. London to Adams, just massive upgrade for not really having to pay the price. Now, we can't go quarterback here. We are just running back, wide receiver, tight end. And Bodie says, how do you get better in a 10-team full PPR league where we have Diggs, Kelsey, Higgins, Hopkins, Sanders, Burrow, Madison, Kamara, Deontay, McKinnon, Charbonnet, Tyler Boyd? You have your stack. We have the elite quarterback. We have the well-balanced position elsewhere, focusing on running back, wide receiver depth. I like the team. I don't know if there is a way. Okay, Nico Collins goes, we'll go ahead and we'll mix in some Kadarius Toney. Y'all know I have very little Kadarius Toney, but, I mean, hell, 118, great price point on him. 6th round earlier the offseason, horrendous. But let's do it. Let's do it. Now, John says, 12-team full BBR, pick 12. Lamb, St. Brown, Waller, Najee, Godwin, Connor, Lawrence, Khalil, Mostert, JSN, Dulcich, Daniel Jones, Tank Bigsby, Rondale Moore. What are your thoughts? Drop Rondale Moore. If we waited to grab running backs this late as we did, I think we just need to be rostering as many of those running backs as we can. I don't think Rondale Moore is going to make a difference for your team one way or another. Okay, we'll go ahead and we'll just take Jalen Warren. We'll just stay balanced with this draft. I mean, we're obviously falling behind the 8-ball at tight end just like we did in the other draft as well. Maybe we should have got Hawkinson where we went with Burrow. That was probably the main thing that we needed to do. But Cam says benches Odell, Gabe Davis, Antonio Gibson, Juju Conklin, and Elijah Mitchell. Maybe if we could pair up like Josh Allen and Gabe Davis and sell someone on the elite level stack, we could get an elite wide receiver in return. But Kid and Killer coming out says 10-team at PBR, pick 7, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 1 flex. When Kelsey, Lamb, Allen, Mahomes, Lockett, Walker, Gabe Davis, with Deontay, Hollywood, Tank, Sutton, Warren, and Elijah. Perfect. This is what we hammer in. 1 flex leagues, grab your elite quarterback, grab your elite tight end, and fire up running back and wide receiver depth shots later on. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. And Clay says, 12-team home league, full PPR. We have Kirk, Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, Jefferson, Olave, Deontay, Everett. And then on the bench, we have Dotson, Flowers, Khalil Herbert, Elijah Moore, Ayuk, Kamari, Devon Achane. Any advice on what to do at running? I think you're fine at running back, my man. I don't think you have to worry about that. I think we have to worry about is going to be tight end here. We're sitting with Gerald Everett. Obviously, with Everett, I'm sure that you know that he's not going to be someone that you are going through and starting on a week-to-week basis. Never worried about it. But still, at the end of the day, I do think that you want to roster 2 tight ends if Gerald Everett is going to be your primary guy here. So I would almost more so say, yeah, you're fine at RB. Just go ahead and cut one of these guys if we can, or maybe even package like Khalil Herbert and Gerald Everett and see if we can get like Goddard. But J Funk says, pick 101, 12-team at PBR. If the top 3 quarterbacks are gone, is it a mistake to reach for Lamar at the 2-3? No, I don't think so. Especially if it's a 1 flex league, no. If it's a league where you have like 2 to 3 flex spots, then yeah, probably shouldn't take Lamar there. But let's move this over. So Tyler Algier goes off the board here, 132. I like our team overall in this draft, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, running back, we're sitting with Jalen Warren, A.J. Dillon, J.K. Dobbins, Jonathan Taylor. Wide receiver, we have Chase, Olave, Judy, Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney. Quarterback, we're rolling with Justin Fields and Joe Burrow. But of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to get into a draft with us, these are Underdog Fantasy drafts. They're best balls to no time commitment at all during the season. So I drafted 700 teams, won $150,000 last year on Underdog. And if you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, only with promo code FLOCK, because your boy hooked you up, are you going to get an exclusive Josh Allen pick'em, more than less than half a passing yard. So please make sure y'all are taking advantage of that. But now Nolan says 10-team full BBR league where we only have one flex. The 104, what are we targeting? We're going to go with, if you don't have to start a tight end, we're going to go running back. If you have to start a tight end, you're going to go Kelsey. If you don't have to start a tight end, please take Bijan, take CMC, take Eckler. Now Mims goes 139. Smooth this around. Clearly need a tight end, but I don't know if we can take a tight end here. Monster off the board 140. We don't really need a running back. Steve has 6 wide receivers already. Assume they don't go wide receiver. But Solid Jacob coming out says, had my draft today in a 10-team league where we have Lawrence at quarterback, running back, we have Barkley, Stevenson, Akers, Pacheco, wide receiver. We have Diggs, Higgins, Moore, Addison, Sutton, Kittle at tight end. Well, first off, my man, thank you so damn much for being a member of the flock for so freaking long now. You know I'm always happy to see you in the chat. But if we're looking at running back, I think we're great in terms of the overall depth. I think we're great with the depth all around with this team. The only thing I'd say, especially with this is a 10-team format, every opportunity we get to make a 2-for-1 deal, I think we're going to do so. I think Cortland Sutton, DJ Moore may very well be sell high candidates early on in the season with the Jerry Jeudy injury. Like if we could sell Sutton, DJ Moore, and in return get a wide receiver that we're super pumped about, like Chris Olave or a Jalen Waddle, I think that would make a lot of sense, my man. But overall, I really do like it. Okay, but Redemption says 10-team full BBR where we have Tyreek, Lamb, Jacobs, Stevenson, Allen, Lockett, Pacheco, Kincaid, Scary Terry, Judy, and then went heavy upside for Charbonnet and Odell. I like the elite quarterback. The issue with Dalton Kincaid is this a player that does have that elite level ceiling at the end of the year, but you don't know if you're going to be able to start him at the beginning of the season. So if you take Kincaid, naturally, I think you are going to have to take 2 tight ends. Just because even if I think he has a lot of upside for the end of the season, I don't necessarily know if we can be using that quote-unquote upside at the beginning of the year, if that makes sense. But Joe says, can you do an 8-team app PBR redraft? I'm sorry, my friend. I'm probably not going to do that. I'm probably not going to do an 8-team league. I don't know. 8-team leagues in my mind, like, I understand if y'all only have 7 other people that want to play in a fantasy football league, you kind of have to do an 8-team league. But they just don't seem as fun as 12-team formats in my mind. At least in my mind. It seems like you're able to get everything. If you play in an 8-team league, please add as many flex spots as possible. But Steve says, thoughts on a 10-team app PBR, 1 flex home keeper league where we have Allen, Breece Hall, Cam Akers, Justin Jefferson, Deontay Johnson, Travis Kelce, Drake London. And then on the bench, we have Dotson, Herbert, and Jalen Warren. Okay. Sit here and think about this. I'm just trying to think if there's anything that we can actually... We have the elite... No, this is beautiful. We have Allen. We have Kelce. We have running backs, wide receivers with upside. We have Jefferson holding down the fort at wide receiver. Beautiful team, my man. Beautiful. Johnny, double flex league, 12-team. We have Mahomes, Eckler, Walker, Hopkins, Pittman, Andrews, Javonte, Dotson. I like it in the short term. What's going to be interesting is if Dotson goes out there and just absolutely crushes with no Terry McLaurin, then at what point are you going to see Dotson submit himself as the wide receiver 1 for Sam Howell? I'm not saying that it's a possibility, but I'm not saying it's guaranteed, but I am saying it's a possibility. Like, what happens if Dotson just freaking crushes it with no McLaurin earlier on? Like, does he remain the wide receiver 1 in Washington later in the season? But Driston Pro coming out after crushing CMC says, wins the $500 league, ended up getting CMC at 6. Love you, Gino. My man. Congrats, and send me a text of the team how it ended up being, my man. Now, Joey says, rate the team. We have Fields, Bijan, Walker, St. Brown, Ridley, Goddard, Swift, Sutton. Potentially 2 wide receiver 1s, potentially 2 running back 1s, elite level quarterback. I like the team in the short term. It really comes down to the role that you're going to get from DeAndre Swift. I actually also wouldn't mind trying to see if we can go through and like package together like Swift, Fields, Sutton, Swift, Fields, and get to like Jalen Hurts if we can really do that and take advantage of some of the upside that we have with these guys. But Cole says 10-team PBR format where we have Herbert, Bijan, JT, Higgins, Keenan, Lockett, Kelce, And then on the bench, we have Evans, Herbert, Gabe Davis, James Cook, Zay Flowers. If we have this much depth, the only thing you could really look to do is make 2-for-1 deals where we get upgrades in the starting lineup. I mean, it's a great roster construction overall. Now, the interesting thing is, like, are we incentivized to go through and try to make that 2-for-1 deal right now? Or maybe are we better off to go through and wait until you potentially get, say, a bump with Tyler Lockett, with Jackson Smith and Jigba potentially missing the beginning of the season? And if you have JSN missing the beginning of the year and all of a sudden you can go through and pair up Lockett with like Keenan Allen and get back like a Chris Olave, I think it makes a lot of sense. From a construction standpoint, it's perfect. Zach says, drafted in the PBR league, Saquon or Lamb, pick 10. I think if you're going to be, just go Barkley. Go Barkley. You'll be able to find wide receiver values later on, my man. Lee says, just had a draft. It was a keeper league, so ended up getting some picks from a bad season. We had Mahomes, Bijan, Chubb, Debo, Olave, Andrews. The flex, we can go Akers, Pittman, Montgomery, Quentin Johnson. Oh, my God. Love it. I think early on, you most likely are going to be going through and starting Cam Akers in the flex. Now, obviously, we have to be very flexible in this, and that all of a sudden, if the Los Angeles Rams offensive line is as bad as a lot of people expect it to be this next year, then we have to be quick to pivot and possibly go elsewhere and not continue to start Akers. But I don't necessarily think we want to start Pittman early on with Anthony Richardson. I'd rather see the role between Gibbs and Montgomery before we start Montgomery. Yeah, great team, though. Great team. But obviously, get a little bit of help if you're going to be able to go through with Bijan Robinson out the gate. Okay, so we're going to go Greg Dulcich here. I mean, someone that's hopefully able to do something this next season. We'll see. But Brian says, I'm tanking for Drake May or Caleb Williams, depending on the season. Do I trade away my running backs now because we're burning it to the ground? Might be a 2-year rebuild. Oh, yeah, 100%. I don't think you have to sell Deshaun Watson, but at least sell every single running back you have on your roster. Especially if that means you're going to be able to go through and lock up Caleb Williams in your Dynasty League. I think you have to, my friend. Okay, so after going with Greg Dulcich, I'm actually going to pivot over, and we're just going to have to take another tight end. I mean, there's a good shot we don't get another tight end all the way back around for us. So let's go ahead and let's take your Irv Smith Jr. He does pair up with Burrow. He does pair up with Jefferson. So I guess maybe we're making a season-long bet here that the Cincinnati Bengals are the best passing offense in the NFL. But in reality, like I said, in these guillotine-style leagues, I'm not too concerned with the overall correlation as we would be in other fantasy football drafts. Okay, so let's move this down, ladies and gentlemen. And Aaron coming out says, just finished up my draft, 12-team PPR, 1 flex. Geno Richardson at quarterback. I think this is a perfect pair of 2 quarterbacks. If you got these guys very late, you want to draft 2 of them, I agree with that. Like, it's just I don't like seeing like Jalen Hurts and then another quarterback, right? And then running back, we were sitting with Bijan, Etienne, James Cook, Samaje Perine, Leonard Fournette. Perfect Fournette addition at the end. If he doesn't sign, who the hell cares? Cut him for a waiver wire option week 1. Lamb, Hopkins, Mike Williams, Pittman, Gabe Davis. Bateman, who the hell cares with Bateman? If he doesn't really have a large role, if he doesn't look good week 1, cut him for a waiver wire option. Perfect guys to roster at the very end. Go for that upside and get that clarity early on. And then the elite level tight end with Mark Andrews. Love that team, my man. Love the team. Love the construction, especially for the format. But Diggity coming out says, back with another one, 12-team PPR, double flex, 1 quarterback. Went Jefferson, Smith, Hurts, Mixon, London, Madison, Ayuk. I'm surprised you got Madison that late. Ayuk, JSN, Frymuth, Khalil Herbert, Johnson, Bigsby, Daniel Jones. So yeah, so the issue with this team is generally if it's a 1 quarterback format, you want to be going through, and especially if it's only a 1, I'm sorry, no, it's a 2 flex, never mind. But yeah, I think we generally want to be trying to get some more running back depth down here on the bench. I don't know if we're too pumped to have like Daniel Jones with Jalen Hurts, because like we have to go through and think about this, right? If we currently are sitting here with Jalen Hurts and we also draft Daniel Jones, obviously Daniel Jones, great fantasy quarterback. I mean, this is someone that has a lot of rushing upside and could make a fundamental difference. How does he get into our starting lineup? Either A, Jalen Hurts' bye week, so 1 week. B, Jalen Hurts' injury. So the only way Daniel Jones starts if it's a Daniel Jones injury. So it's a pure handcuff play. Because the thing is as well, how good does Daniel Jones have to be for us to extract some real trade value for him in a one quarterback league? You know? And I don't, and maybe you'd have a better idea of your league overall. Just in my mind, I don't really imagine us being able to trade him for anything. Now, Josu, long-time member of the flock, says, Sup, Mason, 10-team PPR, drafted Kelsey in the first, Mahomes in the second. Data reaching Mahomes is the best stack in football. Best stack in football if it's a one-flex league, 10-team format. Just load up wide receivers and running backs later on and just beat them down with depth and upside. Saul Jenkins says, by the way, I took Bijan twice this week in a redraft, pick 6 and 7. Gonna will him to be RB1. Hook 'em Horns. Hook 'em Horns, my man, and you better believe. Come on, Bijan Robinson. We need you, my man. We need you. Colm says, should I trade Tyreek or CMC for at the 104? Then who should we target rounds 2 and 3? Okay, so if it's a league where you only start 2 wide receivers, 1 flex, you go CMC. If it's a league where you start 3 wide receivers and multiple flexes, then you go Tyreek Hill. And then I think rounds 2 and 3, I really want to at least grab 1 elite quarterback. Grab Jalen Hurts, grab Josh Allen, grab Mahomes. I don't know if you want to do that in round 2. I don't know if you want to do that in round 3. You should just read the overall draft room that you're in and see if any of those guys have gotten it by that point. Cole says, are we worried about JT? Got him in round 4. I'm not worried about him if you got him in round 4 because I think he plays. Now, the question is, where does he play? Could be a really bad situation, but if you get him round 4, it's priced to be a very bad situation. Overcome says, offer Olave, Madison, White for Amon-Ra St. Brown, Walker. I'm a Zach Charbonnet owner, and Dalvin Cook. I'm a Breece Hall owner. Olave to Amon-Ra St. Brown, slight upgrade. Madison to Walker, upgrade. White to Cook, who the hell cares? Yeah, we go ahead and do it. I don't really care if we're a Charbonnet and Breece Hall owner, but I think you get more value in the trade overall, which is what I care most about. Mikey says, just had my draft today in a 12-team 3 wide receiver double flex where we got Burrow, Gibbs, Barkley, Lamb, Watson, JSN, Gabe Davis, Kittle, Tank, Rasheed, Jaden Reed. What should we do? So this league, we are incentivized to go heavy wide receivers, so I'm fine rostering these guys at the bottom end of the bench. Now, let me talk about the issue with like the construction in terms of the exact prototype of guys that we are rostering here, though. And it's like a very specific thing. It's just, we can say that as individuals, I mean, these guys have upside, right? Like as individuals, Tank Bigsby, Rasheed Rice, Jaden Reed are maybe good. But when we load up our roster on all of those rookies, none of these guys that are going to be anything right out the gate week 1, we do really handicap ourselves in terms of the long term in what we are going to have with the ability to make moves on the waiver wire. It's like, say we want to go pick someone up week 1. We can't cut Rasheed Rice. We didn't give him a fair chance. We can't cut Tank. We didn't give him a fair chance. We can't cut Jaden Reed. We didn't give him a fair chance. So it's an interesting spot where I like taking a shot on like 1 to 2 of those rookies. I don't know if we want to compose our entire bench of them, just because it does really handicap the moves we can make early on. Now, Riley coming out says, Mason, you're the best fantasy YouTuber. I'd put us top 100. I bet my buddy $100 Christian Watson will have a better fantasy season than Scary Terry. Is that good? And you're talking total points, my man. You robbed the man. Scary Terry's already looking like he's going to miss some time. And we straight up robbed that dude. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Zach Ertz here. Hopefully Zach Ertz plays. We'll see. And we're going to take one more wide receiver. So obviously very light on wide receiver in this draft. But generally I'm fine going light wide receiver in these guillotine style contests. But Isaac says, thoughts on the team, 12-team PPR, 1 quarterback, Lawrence, wide receivers, Kupp, Adams, Ridley, Devonta, Christian Watson, Zay Jones, Quentin Johnson, Romeo Doubs, running back, Madison, Montgomery, Bigsby, Damian Harris, Jeff Wilson, tight end Pitts. I really like it. The only thing I'd say is like Romeo Doubs probably not making a difference, right? And I'm fine if you want to pair him up with Christian Watson, make the bet that the Packers offense a little bit better than people assume. Probably rather have a waiver wire running back than Romeo Doubs, though. I mean, just in reality, we're rostering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 wide receivers here. And what has to happen for Romeo Doubs to really hit your starting lineup, especially now that he's dealing with a hamstring injury? I'd go ahead and cut him, see if we can pick up a running back like Fournette, Kareem Hunt. Just see if they sign by the time you get to week 1, then maybe they make a difference. Maybe they are actually players that can move the needle for you, and if they don't, they're easy cuts. Let's not that elite level wide receivers to the top like Kupp and Adams. And Ridley, Devonta Smith, Christian Watson. So like Christian Watson's your wide receiver 5. There's just no need to roster all these other wide receivers. You'd rather take shots on high upside running backs. And Colby says, is a 3 wide receiver 1 flex league. So Tyreek, I'm guessing. Yeah, in that format, you can't go Tyreek Hill. You can't go Tyreek. Also, it kind of depends on what you think your league mates are going to do. But Rezone says 10-team PPR where we have Jalen Hurts, Bijan Robinson, James Cook, CeeDee Lamb, Olave, Hawkinson, London, Deontay, A.J. Dillon, Pitts, Charbonnet, McKinnon, Burks, Elijah Moore. What are your thoughts? Okay. Super well-balanced team. The only thing I'd say is if we could possibly move Kyle Pitts to get Dallas Goedert, I think that would make sense, just given we could get the Goddard-Jalen Hurts connection there. But ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you, just in case you don't know, how we were able to live stream every single day for 200 days in a row. Underdog Fantasy, we're doing Underdog Fantasy football drafts every single day until 2024 on this live stream. So, of course, if you want to get into this draft with us tonight, tomorrow, the next night, you can find the link in the live chat, description, comment section. These are best ball drafts, so no time commitment at all during this season. So I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 on Underdog last year. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com where you can find our 2023 fantasy football draft guide. And also, only with promo code FLOCK, the exclusive Josh Allen Pick'em week 1 against the Jets, more than less than half a passing yard. So please take advantage of that. Now, let's see our next question coming out from, I believe, Isaac says, what's the ceiling for Deshaun Watson? Feel like passing up on the earlier quarterbacks. Watson has the ceiling to be a top 3 quarterback in fantasy. If we're talking raw ceiling, he has it. It's an elite offensive line. What we really need is Elijah Moore to take a step forward. McLaurin's Big Toe coming out says, my dynasty team quarterback, we have Jalen Hurts, Burrow, running back Bijan, Taylor, Eckler, wide receiver. Okay, so we have the best. If I don't win, I quit. Yeah, if you don't win, my man, fantasy football is not worth playing. Like, what the hell is that team? Dylan says, if I screwed at running back, if my RB1 is Gibbs and my RB2 is Ramondre. Not if it's a full PPR format. Non-PPR. Juan coming out says, one flex PPR 12-team league. We have Lawrence, Ramondre, Akers, Diggs, Garrett Wilson, Hawkinson, Ridley, JSN, Ingram, Bateman, Jameson, Charbonnet, Warren, Devon A-Chain. What are your thoughts? Little thin at running back. You are a little thin at running back. Obviously, kind of depends on what you're going to get from Akers, Ramondre. We have the upside later on. Jameson Williams is someone that I don't think is worth rostering right now. Unless you can put Jameson Williams on your IR, you're going to be wasting a roster spot where it's going to handicap you, where you're not able to go through and roster those high upside running backs that you'd be looking at to maybe solve the issue that you're a little bit thin at RB, you know? So I'll just go ahead and cut Jameson Williams, or better yet, if you can package him in a deal and get an upgrade literally anywhere, that is something that we would look at. But Robert Woods goes, did I accidentally queue him up and have someone steal him from us? Is that what happened here? We got probably take Chase Claypool. Don't love this team. It is what it is. Let's go ahead and let's take Chase Claypool. And let me just make sure we can answer as many of these questions as possible here, ladies and gentlemen. So our next question coming out from Rico says, need help drafting my first. Happy BR team, 10-team format. Don't know how to tackle the draft. We have the 5th pick. We start 3 wide receivers in a flex. I'm considering taking Bijan in the first, but don't know after that. So I think this is a format where you want to be very much balanced. I would really look at the ADP sheet I put out on flockfantasy.com that just says 2023 consensus ADP, especially if you're like your first team. If you pull up that consensus ADP list, it's going to give you a great sense of essentially what the entire community of fantasy football drafters are telling you that you should do at that pick. But if you go RB early on, and I'll get an overall rankings video out for you really soon. That should hopefully help as well. It's obviously super hard for me to just walk you through, if it's your first fantasy football draft, exactly what we should be doing every round. Hopefully those are tools that can help you out. Mikey says, I said in the last, don't know any trade ideas. Okay, let's see if we can go find that again. Okay. Do scroll past this. Okay, so we have Burrow, Gibbs, Saquon, Lamb, Watson, JSN, Gabe Davis, Kittle. If we were really going to do something, I really liked Burrow with like either Chase or Higgins. So if we could go like Gabe Davis, JSN, and go get T. Higgins, I think that make a lot of sense. Or say like JSN, CeeDee Lamb, and go get Jamar Chase. I think that make a lot of sense. I don't want to be making too many 2-for-1 deals, though, in that kind of format, just because you can start up to 5 wide receivers. But Nick says in a 10-team PPR format where we have Fields, Taylor, Gibbs, Diggs, Chase, Ingram, Wilson, and then on the bench, James Cook, Madison, Jameson, Judy, Pickens, Kincaid. Oh, beautiful team. This is the kind of team where I think it makes sense rostering Dalton Kincaid, right? Because we have Evan Ingram at the beginning of the year where we feel comfortable starting, but at the same time, it's not like an instance where he's Mark Andrews, he's Travis Kelce. We're going to be starting him every single week regardless. I mean, you're in a spot where it's like, okay, well, yeah, we can have him. He has upside, but it's not like we are 100% locked and loaded into him in weeks 11, 10, 9 to 13, tomato. So I think, yeah, this makes sense. I like that. And Matt says, Mason, a million thank yous for your insanely hard work. Pays off for so many of us. You're the king of fantasy football on YouTube, and keep everything you're doing, my dude. No, thank you so much for the nice words, supporting the channel, and hanging out with us in the live stream, my man. Yeah, thank you, everybody that's out here hanging out with us. I mean, y'all are freaking nuts. Like, we've live streamed every single day for 121 days in a row, and the majority of y'all have came out and hung out with us every single one of those days, or a large percentage of them. So thank you so much for not getting tired of me by now, and thank you for just all the support, ladies and gentlemen. But Tears of Gypsy coming out says 10-team PPR, 2 tight end, IDP starting. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to help you with IDP, my man. But we have Ertz, Walker, Rashad White, Jefferson, A.J. Brown, and Njoku, Zach Ertz, James Cook. Zach Ertz, sneaky tight end too here in this format. Elite quarterback, elite wide receivers. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, just in that 2 tight end format, you're going to have to just roster a couple more of those guys down there on the bench, and hopefully we can find some play. 2 tight end formats are always so difficult, which is why they're fun, right? That's why I think people should be playing in 2 tight end leagues, because it actually makes you think about those tight ends. Similar like underdog drafts, right? Diego says 10-team PPR quarterback. We have Geno Richardson. I like the pairing Geno Richardson, as we were mentioning earlier. Wide receiver, Jefferson, Amari, DK, Judy. Running back, we have Henry, JT. Tight end, we have Kyle Pitts. It seems like so many of y'all out here have Jerry Judy. I really hope for your sake, my man, that Jerry Judy's back early. I mean, obviously you don't need him early. You have Jefferson, you have Amari, DK Metcalf gets the bump with no JSN. But Aaron says just finished drafting in a 10-team map PPR, 3 wide receiver double flex. We have Hurts, Barkley, Dillon / Jamal, I believe. Tyreek, Christian Watson, Mark Andrews, Mike Evans, Christian Kirk, and Michael. That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to slam those wide receivers, my man. I'm honestly surprised you were able to get that much wide receiver value when going Jalen Hurts and Mark Andrews. Like, I wouldn't even have told you to go Andrews or only Jalen Hurts if you got him at a strong value, but that's great, my man. Julian, super long time member of the vlog, says, rate the team, 12-team app PPR, Burrow, Madison, Swift, Dalvin, Cup, Diggs, Higgins, Waller. What are your thoughts? Also, pick 2 to start, Madison, Cook, and DeAndre Swift. I'm going to go Madison and Cook before we see the usage with DeAndre Swift in Philadelphia. I like it. Obviously, so much comes down to the running back position and what we have with these guys. I mean, we can sit here and we can project all these guys, but they're all massive question marks. Like, maybe we think we know what's going to happen with Alexander Madison, but by no means is it a guarantee. Maybe we think we know what's going to happen when it comes to Dalvin Cook, but by no means is it a guarantee. Same thing with DeAndre Swift. So really, you're just needing 2 of those guys to hit, right? That's the main thing we're looking for. And Eric coming out says 10-team PPR league. We have Lawrence, Robinson, Ryan, Diggs, Ridley, Hawkinson, London, Kirk. Wide receiver, bench, we have Hall, Javonte. Okay, so it looks like maybe we have some more upside on the bench than the starting lineup. Johnston, Charbonnet. What running back should we start week 1? And should we start Dotson? I think you start Dotson and McLaurin misses. I definitely think you have to start Dotson over London if McLaurin misses, or over Kirk. I mean, it kind of depends, right? Because you do have Lawrence at the same time. And then in terms of the running backs, I'm assuming this is Bijan Robinson, Samaje Perine. I start Javonte over Samaje week 1. Like, it would be different if Javonte didn't play in the preseason, right? But considering the fact that Javonte Williams played in the preseason, I mean, that shows me enough where I can say, okay, well, yeah, if he plays, we're good to go. We're good to throw him in. Lasagna Lover says, dang, still alive. Yes, sir. And let me go ahead and let me make you a moderator on the channel, my man. Thank you so much for always hanging out with us. Let me make a couple more people moderators on the channel. I mean, Julian has been out here forever. I have no idea how the hell Julian's not a moderator already. Solid Jakin. I could have sworn you were a moderator as well. Let's go ahead and let's get Solid Jakin in here. Okay. Perfect. Something I need to be better about doing. I need to go ahead and make more people. Jayan saying we're out here. Happy to see you, my man. And sorry, I did not text you back earlier. Family's in town, and as you can tell by the live stream, it's been a little crazy as of late. But let's go ahead. And Jose coming out says, 12-team PPR, we have Justin Herbert, Justin Jefferson. We're the Justins here. We got St. Brown, Taylor, Walker, Pitts. How is this a 12-team league? Javonte, Khalil Herbert, Pickens, JSN, Charbonnet, Kadarius Toney, Bateman, Jordan Love. Beautiful team. The only thing I'd say is, in general, if we're currently sitting here with Jordan Love, I don't necessarily know if we want to be rostering a backup quarterback with Justin Herbert. If the majority of your league mates aren't doing that, if the majority of your league mates are, say you have half of them rostering backup quarterbacks and half of them not, I would just rather roster a backup running back. You're starting Herbert every single week regardless of matchup, right? I freaking love this team, though. It's just every team that has Jonathan Taylor at a severe discount is going to look great, because I just think of fantasy football from a ceiling perspective. But Jorge coming out says, in a 12-team PPR format, I got picked 12. We have Mahomes and Geno. I don't think we should be rostering a backup quarterback. We have Lamb, A.J. Brown, Mike Evans, Mike Williams. Running back, we have Hall, Walker, Madison, Kamara, Devon Achane. Love the upside we have at running back, wide receiver, especially considering we have Mahomes. I'll just say, if we have Mahomes, there's no reason to be rostering Geno here. I'd much rather roster a backup tight end alongside Dalton Schultz, right? Because there's a world where you pick up a tight end off the waiver wire right now, and in a couple of weeks, you're starting them over Dalton Schultz. There's no world where you're ever starting Geno Smith over Mahomes outside of an injury. Mikkel, also a long-time member of the vlog, happy to see you, says, been here since 2020. You're the best out here, and the Underdog OG. Love the concept, man. Got picked 4 in a 12-team league. Is it too early for Kelsey? No, thank you so much, my man. I'd say it's not too early for Kelsey if it's a one-flex league. If it's a one-flex league, I think you go ahead and pull the trigger on Kelsey. If it's a league where you have multiple flexes, I think you pivot to running back or wide receiver. Now, Zabronsky coming out says, in a 10-team PPR format, pick 9. What are your thoughts? We have Hurts, Barkley, Etienne, Tyreek, Devonta Smith, Ramondre, Breece Hall, Evan Ingram, Drake London, DJ Moore. Elite running backs, an elite wide receiver, an elite quarterback. What the hell am I supposed to say? Like, this is a phenomenal team. I mean, if we could back together like a wide receiver depth piece and like Evan Ingram and go get a better tight end, that'd be great. I go Drake London, Evan Ingram, go get TJ Hawkinson. I mean, that's just because we are elite at running back and quarterback. So, like, what else are we supposed to do, right? Right? Now, Bryce says, thoughts on the team, 10-team standard. We have Burrow, Stevenson, Bijan, Jacobs, Olave, Watson, Ingram, Montgomery, McLaurin, Evans, Madison, Richardson, and Juwan Johnson. Juwan Johnson are only... no, we have Evan Ingram. I'm fine if you want to roster 2 tight ends if Evan Ingram's your one guy. We have the elite ceiling at running back. Obviously, Stevenson's a little bit of a question mark. We have phenomenal wide receivers. I love it. I'd love if we can go get Chase. I think we have enough firepower to get Chase as well. Like, if we could trade like Stevenson and Olave to go get Jamar Chase, I think it'd make a lot of sense. Or go trade like McLaurin and Christian Watson to go get T. Higgins. Just so we can get that paired up with Joe Burrow and make that one consolidated bet. I'd really like that. Now, Mayo coming out says, 12-team full BBR, 12 pick. Dak, Henry, Chubb, Keenan, Christian Watson, Waller, Etienne, Pittman, Rashad White, Kadarius Toney, Quentin Johnson, Nico Collins, and Elijah Moore. Keenan, Christian Watson, Pittman, Toney, Quentin Johnson, Nico Collins, Elijah Moore. 7 wide receivers. Running back, we're only at Henry, Chubb, Etienne, Rashad White. Yeah, I almost want to flip that, right? I would love to roster like 4 stud wide receivers and like 7 running backs and just take as many bites of the apple as we can at the running back position. I'd honestly be looking to cut someone like Nico Collins here because I don't really see how Nico Collins ever has the upside to actually move the needle for you in this league. And I'd probably rather just go through and see if we can get another running back off the waiver wire. Now, Aaron says was able to finish on this Happy BR league. Hurts, Barkley, Dillon, Tyreek, Christian Watson, Mike Williams, Mark Andrews, Evans, Kirk, Pittman, Johnson, Mooney, Anthony Richardson. That's beautiful, my man. I'm assuming that you are going through and you're going to be looking to package together Anthony Richardson with one of these guys during the season once Anthony Richardson has the elite level spike. Like, obviously, you need to wait for the Richardson breakout, I'm assuming. I'm assuming you got him at the very end of your draft. But, I mean, that has to be the plan, right? If you have Jalen Hurts and you take Anthony Richardson as a backup, he is looking like that sell in the long term. But I think that's all I have for this live stream. Again, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for hanging out with us. You'll know, as always, I really, really do appreciate y'all. And if you have not done so already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to live stream every single day until 2024. And a way better way to get your team broken down in an in-depth podcast by yours truly is going to be signing up to flockfantasy.com. Promo code FLOCK, you're going to get 30% off any subscription. You're going to get yours truly breaking down your fantasy football team with the Mother Flocker tier. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to get all my rankings, all my premium content, all the Rankings premium content of all your favorite fantasy football creators on top of this. But thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. I really do appreciate y'all, and I really hope I get to see you in the live stream tomorrow night.